Often the case for racing in GPVWC, especially last year, the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache held the grand finale in all disciplines in the calendar. A wonderful venue located near the city of Sao Paulo, it's often a fan favourite amongst both the fans and the drivers. Today, Brazil plays host to the 15th round of the 2025 Formula Sprint 2 Championship. With just 4 races left to go of this season from now, it is a race that can have heavy championship implications across all the board, including the fight up ahead. Sandeep and his team of potential Grand Prix can both potentially clinch their respective championships here today against Junio Lopez and his team of Scuderia Cap Clay if things go Sings and Potentia's way, but time will very well tell. A fast short track complied with difficult corners, elevation changes, makes it both the qualifying and the race product here truly one of the best across the world, and we're going to find out soon who will prevail in a few moments' time. I'm Amir Oates, joining alongside me here for the commentary box today. Both Toby Dace and Alex Folks are unfortunately not able here to be today, but Fabian Longbuff is in charge for the broadcasting here as per usual, and joining alongside me here today is Lorenzo Eterovic-Funcic. Good evening, Lorenzo. How are you feeling for the preparations heading to Interlagos today?
I'm feeling fairly good, Amir. Thank you, and you can take a breather now. You can comfortably take a breather while I introduce myself as well. But yes, I'm very glad to be here on board for this penultimate round of the 2025 Formula Sprint 2 season. I'm sure that we'll be seeing some very exciting racing today. As Amir here said, there's both the drivers and constructors championship on the line. And although both Sandeep and Potential have a fairly big gap on Junio Lopez and Scuderia Cap Clay, I'm sure that the Cap Clay contingent will give their best. However, one thing to note before we start off qualifying properly, as we see one of the Priority 1 cars going out onto the flying lap, is that we haven't seen Junio Lopez in the server during practice, and I still am not able to see him anywhere inside the server, so this could prove crucial in the end if he does not appear until the end of qualifying for both Cap Clay and himself in the championship.
That's important though, because if Junio Lopez doesn't score any points at all, and Sandeep Singh, he doesn't even need to really turn up or score any points himself. He just needs to really just go across for the finish line, and that will be the championship more or less sealed, because the gap is 69 points. If that gap goes any lower to 45 points in favor of Junio Lopez, then the championship fight is still on. But now as it stands, it's 69 points, as you can see in the stands, 324 points to 255. So if that's going to be the case, then Junio Lopez will be cemented down to second place, and James Knox through with third, with Michael Tomala hoping for a Cap Clay 2-3, 2-4 as it stands, hoping to propel that for up ahead. 111 points is the gap in the constructors as well between Potentia and Cap Clay. So again, a very important qualifying session for you today. If Junio Lopez is guaranteed to not be here, then Sandeep Singh is going to become your 2025 Formula Sprint 2 champion.
That is absolutely correct, and as you mentioned, James Knox currently in third place in the standings. He is not racing for Excellion anymore, as he has been racing for Fusion Racing in Superlights for a while now, and has finally gotten a full-time seat with them as opposed to emergency drives. So he has been ineligible since after Mexico to be driving for Formula Sprint 2, which means that Tuamala and Magnus Ockenhaug, as well as Faiz Youngstra and Kurt Roychal, all have a fairly good chance to overtake him in the Drivers' Championship in these last 2 rounds.
Absolutely, very impressive here. Sawicki, the first one, good to set his personal best though. Done very good from previously around. XNF of Junsan now going over through to the Super Dubox now, and is going to be a pretty good lap there for Priority 1 at least. Sawicki has been very good in terms of his recent performances now, and it could be another one. He's done very good during practice, and that will set a pretty strong benchmark for the Polish driver for 23.6 as everyone else goes for a cup the board. Sandeep Singh is the man that we need to keep an eye on for. He's only about 1/10 off from that pole time. Again, with that short track, it means that we're going to see marginal qualifying margins here, extremely small, and it's going to make it a fantastic spectacle to watch, I must say, Lorenzo.
Absolutely, I agree. And as we are on board with Magnus Ockenhaug currently, who is 2/10 up on his personal best in Sector 1, he is also one to keep an eye on for this qualifying round, as he, after Singapore, has been dealt a 10th place grid penalty due to exceeding track limits on his fastest lap in Singapore qualifying. So his aim today is to qualify as high as possible to minimize the impact of that 10th place grid penalty and try and overtake both Tuamala and Nox in that battle for P3 as he rounds not the penultimate turn, apologies, as I was going to say, but he is 2/10 up again on his personal best in Sector 2, going down the front stretch. Will he be able to place within the top 5? It looks fairly likely. 24.3, not quite. P8, 6/10 off of pole position currently.
Yep, still a pretty good lap though for Aukenhag though, but again, it's going to fold out quite a little bit though. One of the last few drivers to make his way to set a lap time, Yuriko Touchwell is going to exit out through, and he approaching over through to the third sector now, using as much of the curb as he possibly can. It's a little bit uneven though, so you need to be really, really careful with your throttle applications, as the track driver is going to steamroll through, using as much as the engine power possibly can. The GPVWC Academy car going to go for across the line. Touchwell has done fairly good in recent times, nearly in the verge of points in some cases, as he goes across through a P26 though, about 2 seconds off from the poster's time, as Sandeep Singh has improved much more, and this time it's going to be 500ths of a gap between himself and Sawicki, and Domenico Scarpelli meanwhile down from behind makes a potential 1-3 as it stands.
That is absolutely crucial for Potentia, especially coming into race 1, which, as we all know by now, deals more points than race 2 does. So if Potentia can capitalize on qualifying, possibly get a 1-2, they would seal the team's championship already in race 1, really.
Here we go, running aboard Remco de Zoo now. He's done a personal best through the first sector, can maybe boost her up a little bit through to maybe follow on with his teammate Alfie Dudley. Blue Horns are currently 24 and 26 as it stands, so this could be a pretty good chance to maybe get some last minute points for their campaign. 54 points that they've got overall. They're in the midst of a very intense fight with ST Racing to try and get P14, so 3 points gap, so every place really matters here, as Remco going across the line is not an improvement for himself, and he'll stick through on 24th.
Very unfortunate there for Remco, but it could have been seen coming, as he was 1.2 seconds down in Sector 2 on his personal best. However, Alfie Denley also seems to be following the same fate of improving on his personal best in Sector 1 and then being roughly 1.1 to 1.2 seconds off in Sector 2. And he doesn't seem to be taking the final sector as fast as he could, and he is pulling into the pit lane, yes, so he will be looking to improve on his personal best lap time on a different chance. As we move now on to David Junt, who is a fairly last minute emergency drive for Mapes VO. Initially was not known who would be pairing Rafael Ohem in the first Mapes VO, the number 22, but David Junt did step in, as I said, fairly late for that number 27. Currently 30th, although hasn't set a lap time yet, and is 2/10 up in Sector 1 on his personal best, Amir.
Yep, back over at Singapore, round 2, he got a podium upon his first ever Formula Sprint 2 debut this season though, and often a very good driver that we usually see in the Academy ones, often the man to beat, and usually the formula, the benchmark in terms of that case in the Academy, so we can expect to see some maybe good things for David Junt, and especially for Mapes VO, as he's not quite come through to his liking. He's going to enter in through the pits, but at least it seems to be pretty good showing though from the Swiss driver. From what we've seen in the early stages, he'll definitely be able to go for again. Jonas Lepet through Hot Performance Engineers now going to exit out for turn 1, and that is 2 sideways out from the first corner, and that's unfortunate there from Lepet, so that means he'll have to go to the pits and try again.
Very unfortunate there for Lepet, immediately at the start of the lap, squandering his chances really of improving as to where he currently is, which is P13. Not at all bad for himself, as the Hot Performance Engineering cars currently sit 13th and 11th, Bobby Vakuinov being the better performing currently Hot Performance Engineering car. One car who would hope to get back to where they were earlier in qualifying, Filip Czerwinski, although he doesn't seem to be doing quite enough for it yet. 300ths down on his personal best in Sector 1, and Sector 2 isn't really much better either. 4/10 down this time by.
Yeah, it's just dropping a lot. That second sector is extraordinarily technical. Pineno, Bica Topacho, all very, very important corners that you need to try and get your apex and entries. perfectly because the corners flow down through to one another. Ben Skinner already purple in the first sector and a personal best in the second. He's currently 7th at the minute, but he's going to be able to go for across the line. And where can he place that Orbit Motorsports up ahead? Is it going to be enough? And it's a purple in the second sector. And look at that, he's managed to split Sawicki and Singh in twain as he gets himself up in a second.
Absolutely stunning lap by Skinner, and he's only 300s behind Singh as it stands, with 6 minutes exactly to go in qualifying. And Skinner, one we didn't mention, but also within a chance of overtaking Knox in the championship. As it stands currently, Mihalovic and Tjerich, as we see, crossing the line at 24-7, moving up into 20th. Not particularly fast lap, 1.1 seconds behind pole position, but still I feel like that might just be ST Racing, well, not ST Racing, but Mihailo's personal best qualifying position so far this season, although I need to fact check that.
Yeah, that was Magnus, I think, just a bit off from the racing line for Biko Tapacho. Exiting out for 11 now, down for Junsao. And we're going to see if he's able to get through to the curve. Yeah, you can just see how much time that has cost him. That is nearly a full second slower than what we've seen the fastest in the second sector, still held by Sandeep Singh, I believe. But I think, yeah, Magnus is going to go to the pits, and maybe with enough time on the clock. 5 minutes left to go here in this intense qualifying session here, Lorenzo.
Yep, I feel like Magnus is definitely going to be improving his lap time. I could see him being potentially inside the top 10 at the end of qualifying. Bobby Vakuinov, who was purple in Sector 1 and up on his personal best in Sector 2, decides to not finish his lap time, so P10 currently will not be improving. Alex Day was down 800ths in Sector 1 on his personal best, but 5 times up in Sector 2, currently 17th, will be looking to improve, and I feel like he might be improving and goes up into P13 with a purple Sector 3.
That's impressive, and a way to push ST Racing up ahead for Blue Horns and the constructors of P13 is probably exactly what Alexei has been looking for. Tice Youngster, meanwhile, purple for the first sector. If he can string anything together in the second sector, maybe we can see him break even to the top 10, hell, even into the top 5, maybe. It's all dependent if Youngster can just string these last 2 sectors through together. Here we go to pressure through to the second sector now. What's it going to be? It's 5/10 off from Sandeep Singh's time, but it could be a bit enough running aboard for Tice Youngster now. Exiting out through Sabina de boxes now through turn 14, now going to be able to go through flat out as he possibly can. Is there going to be anything that Tice Youngster can push through to the Team RG? And he's going to enter into the pits. He must have been validated through.
That's heartbreak for Youngster there, and that was such a shame to see happen, as he was up 5 tenths as it looked. He said his personal best in Sector 2 and was purple in Sector 1, so that is most definitely a shame to see. One driver who's up on personal best in Sector 1 and 2, Victor Bernat, currently P6, will be looking to improve, and he does improve with a purple Sector 3 into P4. Excellent from the Spaniard there.
Yeah, phenomenal there from himself. About 2 tenths clear from Scarpelli. Now, that gap between Singh and Scarpelli looked quite close, but now it's just pushing off a bit ever since Skinner and Bernat have set their personal best times. Lepid can't really improve. He stays through on 17th now, but very good there from Bernat, I say, to push himself through up into the top 4. Scarpelli is at risk of being out of top 5 for altogether. Philip Sawinski, meanwhile, purple for the first sector.
And will the pole finally clinch pole and his third attempt on his third, flying lap? Will he be able to be closer this time by in Sector 2 as opposed to as he was last time around? We'll see now as he rounds the corner, and he is down 4 tenths in Sector 2. So highly unlikely that Philip Chavinsky will improve this time by, unfortunately, and with only just over 2 minutes left in qualifying, I do not think we'll see Philip Chawinski moving up from P3 as he goes into the pit lane as well.
Yeah, it's again, it's just such a hard track because it's not enough to be just strong enough in one sector. You need to be strong in effectively all the sectors indeed, but that second sector is really catching for a lot of people off. Marta Zoli, meanwhile, upon for his return, has broken himself through up into the point score position in P14 now. Is there going to be any more improvements for the VMS Sun Edits Racing? That is purple for the final sector, but he'll still remain through in P14.
Great Sector 3 there from Tertoli. Unfortunately, not moving up anywhere, neither time-wise or position-wise, but I will say it's very, very nice to see Terzoli back on the grid after a good long while away. I did have a talk with him earlier this week, and unfortunately he did suffer from mononucleosis, which kept him away from sim racing activities for quite a while. So it is very, very nice to see him doing well again and to be back on track again, as we now follow his fellow Italian, Domenico Scappelli, as he's 3 tenths down in Sector 2, but he was 600ths up in Sector 1. Will he still be able to salvage something with just over a minute left in qualifying, or will he call it quits?
That was slow out of Junsao, though, not using much of to the apex. If he's going to head in through to the pits, I think. No, he's not. He's actually going to continue on going for a head, despite being 3 tenths down. If there's anything that he can rescue, maybe it could be. But yeah, that entry down to Junsao, just not utilizing as much of the track as Scarpello maybe would have liked. I think he might be able to go for another run. Justin van der Smissen, bit wide out from the exit, though. Let's see if the lap will still be validated, though, as he's entering over through to the second sector, over through Benigno, and then swings around through outside, and then have to go right back into the apex for Pico de Pacho, and then out through down to turn 11 of Mugello, and then over through Junsao up ahead. We've seen a lot of drivers been caught up from that 1.2 seconds out through the second sector actually. Ben Skinner is going to go for one last run for his quest for pole position here. It could be possible, though. Sandeep Singh is still in the pits.
I think Ben Skinner might be one of the people who could beat Sandeep Singh in qualifying. I think he has that excellent one lap pace, and not just one lap pace. I think he's just excellent all throughout, and I think if not this year, he doesn't finish inside the top 5. Next year, he most definitely will be. Ooh. And one other driver who I was going to say could see the same fate next year, Filip Czerwinski, who also set as purple sector 1 before Ben Skinner did, goes wide there through, I think that was turn 7, and unfortunately I think that lap will be invalidated for him. So Filip Czerwinski yet again on his 4th flying lap, I think that is.
Yeah,
8 tenths down as well, and unfortunately as much as he is able to gain through sector 1, it seems like
Skinner
sector 2 seems to be...
He's also not done it as well through the second sector as well. So Winsky and Skinner had the second sectors both ripped up for them. Victor Bernat can't do much to improve, though, on his end as the checker flag drops. It seems to be Sandeep Singh is going to get a very important pole position here as Taj Youngstra in the last 9 moments breaks himself through up into the top 10 here.
And Victor Bernat pulls into the pit lane, so we won't be seeing him moving up either. Joe Gillette down 3 times in Sector 2, but up 500ths in Sector 1. Will he be able to move up by any chance? No, a 23.9, but stays in P6. And Ockenhaug, is Ockenhaug out on a lap? Not quite. David Junt is down in both sectors, and I don't think he will be finishing his... No, 8 seconds down in Sector 2. No point really in finishing the lap. And if I am correct, I think all the drivers have finished their laps.
Yep, that's right. Vakanov and Van der Smith are last through to go across the line, but it's Sandeep Singh that comes here very, very happy. He'll be starting through on pole position here in Interlagos, and very, very important with the championship implications in mind. Ben Skinner will share through the front row with him in second. Very, very good there for Orbit Motorsports to get their points overall in here in this stage of the championship as well. Filip Sawicki can't do quite much to bring him through into the front row, but you'll still be pretty happy with third. With Victor Bernat, very good there from with Scuderia Freccia Nera into fourth. With Domenico Scarpelli, would have wanted to join alongside his teammate in the front row, but the best he can do for his fifth. Still good though for the teams overall, as Cap Clay's nowhere to be seen in the top 10. Joe Gillette and Magnus Ockenhau will share through 6th and 7th, with Thijs Youngstra in 8th for Team RNG, with Kurt Rotjarv in 9th, with Christian Gramstedt completes through to the top 10. That's one of the first times we've seen Orbit shared both of them in the top 10 actually. As of that, Andrea Canalia almost got through to the top 10, both for 11th, with Bobby Vakinov through on 12th, with Justin van der Smith in the 13th, Honus Lapit in 14th, Hunt Performance 12 and 14, with Michael Tumala, look at that, P15, 6/10 up from Sandeep Singh. It's not looking into Cap Clay's favour to keep the constructors alive here. Outside of that, Alex Day in 16th, with Trezoli upon his return in 17th, Mark Salagi in 18th, with Antonius Paparinopoulos, very good performance for him for the Academy driver, in 19th, with Alfie Denley completes through the highest placed Blue Horns in P20. And then outside of that, 21st, we have Juho Soppinen in 21st, I think. Yep, your hosts up on the through at 21st with Remke Deziu, Blue Horns 20th and 22nd, with Mihailo Vincentevich in 23rd, Rafael Arab in 24th, with Caroline Harvig and Leila Patalia in 25th and 26th, respectively. David Yunt can't really follow through from his Singapore miracles, but he'll be fine with 27th, with Eric Bryan down for behind in 28th. Yuri Kotochvil can't really seem to put a good lap for together in 29th. Craig Patterson, the only driver not to set a valid lap time, as he'll be starting through in P30 with Exilium Motorsport. What a qualifying session.
Yeah, I'd say that was a very, very entertaining qualifying session. We saw some challenges definitely for pole position there from Ben Skinner and from Filip Chavinsky, as well as some others, but in the end nobody seemed to match the consistency throughout the entirety of the lap that Sandeep Singh had. And I think as much as you can have pace, consistency is the one thing that's key, really, especially on a track that's as winding and undulating as Interlagos is. And race and qualifying are a different thing. We'll see how the drivers who could have toppled Sandeep Singh doing the races, and I think they'll do well in the races, but in qualifying it is Sandeep Singh who prevailed in the end.
You can talk about through with Sandeep Singh in a moment. It is a good thing that he has started through on pole position, but in my opinion, I think one of the dangerous places to be in pole position out of all the tracks in the world, I think Interlagos has to be one of them, because it's fast, the turn one is downhill, it can really go in anybody's favor. So it's not about, he's good that he started for pole position, but on the other hand, he does have to worry about Ben Skinner and company as well behind, because yes, they did very good for the laps, but in the end it's about the race, and 18 laps, and turn one is just, I think turn one is probably one of the most unique in the world, because it's downhill, you go through swings back in through left and right, so it's very, very good there for switchbacks, and then after through the Curva del Sol, then you have the Reta Rio Posta, Heta Posta, my bad. So Sandeep Singh has got a lot in his hand, because yes, it's a good thing that he's on pole position, but it's notorious, it's very difficult to defend on the opening lap, would you reckon, Lorenzo?
I would say it is difficult to defend on any opening lap on any circuit, but I think that through the first three turns actually, because correct me if I'm wrong, but the pole position grid slot is on the inside, and the run up to turn one from that grid slot is not as long as on some tracks, so Sandeep Singh will have a relatively short time to close down space on Ben Skinner and defend through that first section. And if he defends well enough, he might be able to set himself up for a grand escape down the stretch between turns 3 and 4. The Reta Posta. Yes, yeah, I remember well. Apologies, but okay. Yeah, I feel like those 3 turns could be vaguely crucial for Sandeep on the opening lap.
Yeah, I can definitely understand coming through Sandeep as well. So I think the question is going to be between Ben Skinner, Sawinski, and Victor Burnett and Scarpelli from behind. That's going to be through the set for the top 5. Scarpelli will obviously want to try to fight to match for his teammate, because it's there's probably going to be a lot at stake to clinch the team's championship at pretty dominant fashion. So Scarpelli will definitely have that in mind. But the question is whether Skinner, Sawinski, and Burnett will either fight amongst themselves through that first lap, because first lap is extremely crucial, or are they going to maybe work with each other to try and displace Sandeep Singh? Because it has happened through before, and again, Interlagos is such a flexible track that literally any strategy can happen, just as long as you put your mind and your car into it.
Absolutely, but I feel like there, at least I haven't seen any indication that people might be working together to overtake Sandeep. I mean, as you can see, Junior Lopez has not attended this round, so Sandeep has essentially, without even needing to push that hard, and yeah, he still pushed hard enough to secure pole position, but he's got the Drivers' Championship essentially tied to himself with a 69-point gap and sure to grow. Yeah, I think, although it is a bit, actually no, it is not early to say, because Junior Lopez would need a 45-point gap at the very most to still be able to overtake Sandeep Singh coming into Abu Dhabi, and seeing as Junior Lopez is not here today, Sandeep Singh looks to be our 2025 Formula Sprint 2 Drivers' Champion.
Yep, seems to be all the more confirmed here with Junior Lopez's lack of attendance. Of course, there might be a chance that he will appear for the races, but it's going to be extraordinarily slim. And with Sandeep starting right up ahead, again, he doesn't really need to push that much. But whenever you think about through Sandeep's career, right in the back in Melbourne, he didn't really lift off of the coast. He always continued through the pushing all the way back in Albert Park, aiming for his first win of the season, and eventually did come through to him in Suzuka on his third attempt in race 1 after being having 2 consecutive second places, and from there it's always just seemed to be up for the Indian because he's already gotten 13 race wins throughout his career. Came through second the last time back in 2019 and hold a very comfortable margin here for Potentia as it stands. It's surprising though, his last win was back in Hungary, and he hasn't managed to get a win since. He's managed to get a podium though in that time frame. He has gotten second place in Marina Bay, so there's going to be a lot for at stake as well with Sandeep as well, because he's got 6 wins, so this is a chance to record his 7th, which is by far the most that we've seen out of any driver on the standings as it stands. But yeah, there might be a bit of that added pressure, maybe a bit coming from Sandeep, if you think.
There could be, but I feel like Sandeep is experienced enough already, both in sim racing in general and in GPVWC, to cope well under that pressure. And I feel like the number of wins that he could achieve over the course of the season is not something that concerns him as much as winning the Drivers' Championship would and should really be. And I think Sandeep will cope well with the pressure you said could affect him. And yeah, I think that he'll be quite comfortable in this round.
And then looking over through the top 5 as well, because of how close the margins were. Domenico Scarpelli has been a race winner. He's got potential Grand Prix first race win back over at Albert Park, but hasn't really come close to it. He had managed to make a return to form with a 3rd place in Marina Bay. However, starting from 5th, it is going to be a bit of that. I think we're right on board with Victor Bernat right now. Victor Bernat has done very, very good. He's got 2 podiums through this stage in the Formula Sprint 2, at least for his career, but he's never managed to record for a race win, and he's got a very good chance to maybe do that. Serwinski has only ever recorded 1 race win. That was back over in the Nürburgring. And we have, I think there was the other driver as well, of Ben Skinner. He's recorded 2 race wins, but both of them have come through race 2, both in Suzuka and in Catalonia. So there's going to be a lot at stake for these drivers, because Skinner is aiming for his first race 1 race win. Victor Bernat is going to aim for his first race win overall. Scarpelli is going to look for his first win all the way back in round 1. So there's going to be a lot at stake for a lot of these drivers in the top 5 that we're going to see as they fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing to note as well about those drivers is that some of them are fairly close to each other in the standings. Looking at the standings currently, Domenico Scarpelli 12th on 125 points, Chewinski in 13th, only 4 points behind, Ben Skinner in 10th on 160 points, so he is also only 8 points behind Kurt Roychav in 8th place, who is said, with a good enough last 2 rounds, could overtake James Knox, although I don't see him being quite there in the battle for P3 as close as Youngstra, Ockenhagen and Tuamala are. We do have to remember Tuamala has qualified 15th, Ockenhagen qualifying 7th, but with a 10th place grid panel he'll be down to 17th. Youngstra, that means he gets up to 7th, so we could definitely see some major shifts in the championship today. Victor Bernat as well, he's 4th for race 1, he's 18th currently, but he's 10 points behind Patterson and Gillette, who are 17th and 16th respectively. So we could see, if they utilize their starting positions well enough, some good moves up in the championship.
As we've mentioned before in the intro, Interlagos is a track that can have very heavy championship implications all the way across the board. And this race is going to look to be, even though it's not the final round of the championship, it's going to look to be no exception here today. As Victor Bernat seems to be the fastest through, coming over to the warm-up. And the warm-up will come through to its swift conclusion as we prepare for the 18 laps over for race 1. Do you have any predictions for what we're going to see here for Lorenzo? Any maybe race winners or drivers that may catch your eye to go out for the field, do you reckon?
No, I'm entering open-minded, and I'm just hoping to see some good and as clean as it can be racing for FS2. And yeah, that's all I can say really, and that's just what I'm hoping for.
Indeed. It's going to be very, very interesting to see which of these drivers, of course, all having very different advantages, and Interlagos does play in those two advantages. However, it is a very, very interesting track with, again, just a wide variety through of corners. So there is that for you to keep in mind, and the corners lead through to another. So if you kind of mess up for one, then you've got effectively the entire sector to worry about. It's the one that requires very precise line. But unlike the other tracks, though, you can deviate off from the race line and you can attack and defend as you will, because the elevation does play through that to your favor. So that's why Interlagos is often regarded through as a track and fan, as a drivers and team manager and a fan's favorite here throughout the GPVWC. Part of the reason why, because did bring us a very, very big spectacle last time we were out here last year, because I can imagine through the excited racing. I remember whenever I was first in the GPVWC, that 2024 Academy Series in Interlagos effectively sold me into this league. So thank you very much, Interlagos, for bringing me to this love of this fantastic championship and allowing me to come into here. I never thought that this would ever happen. Of course, very unfortunate though for Toby Davis and Alex Foltz to not come here through today. We both hope you're well, and hopefully with all things good and considered, they will be here for the final round. I think Toby Davis said that he was unable to reach for the box because he was too far away. So yeah, there's that in mind.
Yeah, enjoy Cardiff, Toby. Hope it's doing. Hope it's well. I won't know. I've never been. Have you?
I've been to Cardiff, yeah. So Cardiff has always been pretty fun, as we've had a bit of technical issues through coming in mind. So we'll wait through until the server gets back up online. But up until then, we will just quickly go through again to we have gone through the championship implications. We have gone through Interlagos. We've gone through the qualifying results. Again, 18 laps. So you've mentioned as well that you don't really know who's going to be either going to position higher, position lower, and we have mentioned through the characteristics of Interlagos as well. So Sandeep Singh, as we've mentioned, I think has effectively clinched the championship here since Junio Lopez cannot compete. But yeah, indeed. So there is that for you to keep in mind. I'm just trying to remember. Magnus Okenhag, as you said, he started from P17, is that right?
He qualified P7 initially in qualifying, if I'm correct. So with a 10-place grid penalty that he received in Singapore, that would put him down to P17. So yeah, he will be starting behind Mikhail Tuamala as well, who is in P15. So that means that Okenhau will have to get past him as quick as possible as well, and hope that Tuamala doesn't gain as many positions in lap 1 and before Okenhau catches up to him as well. And yeah, I feel like, as I said earlier on, we could see some fairly big moves up in the championship.
Justin van der Smissen is driving here today, so he's also another one that's going to be impacted with a grid penalty, I believe. According to the penalties here, he has a 30 grid good demotion, so he's going to be starting right for the very back for the MS Sun, and it's racing there, so right down for P30. So there is that for you to keep in mind for the Dutchman. So I think those are the only two that we have at least on the board that have the penalties through applied.
I feel like now would be a good time to check whether we are correct in that or not.
You're right about Okenhag. Okenhag does have a 10 grid penalty. So, but it does, according to this information that I'm given to here, it is a 30 grid grid penalty for Justin
van der Smissen, right? Are there any other upstanding penalties for Interlagos? Can we get a check on that, or is it just Van der Smissen
No,
and
that's
Ockenhout?
it's just Van der Smissen and Alcohol. Everyone else is not driving here for today for obvious reasons.
Yeah. We are missing 3 drivers, although I'm not quite sure. We are missing 1 RGS, and as far as I know, RGS currently only have Eric Brenner on their team. Junior Lopez is missing for Cap Clay, but I'm uncertain what the 3rd car missing is.
Yeah, it's looking to be a bit of an issue from the server side of things, I think, because I think all the drivers have indeed been kicked out, so they're just waiting for everyone through to rejoin very soon. I think the server is indeed back up, so we're just going to give them a bit of a grace period to hopefully rejoin and check everything is okay. So we will, I think it'll only just be a very short through intermission. So there is that for to keep in mind. So it should be all okay, though. I think we should be ready to go in about maybe 5 minutes or so, as long as we wait for everyone to join in. Joel Gillette is the first one to join back in for Hunter Birch, and there we go, Honus Lepet. Yeah, everyone's now coming in now, so I think we should get the 30-car grid as we did through before.
Yep, the drivers are slowly trickling in, as Fabian did try and tell us something. Could you repeat that, please, Fabian? Copy. Alright, yes, the drivers are slowly trickling in, blah, 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 as we're already up to 13.
Yep.
As we wait on everyone to come back in.
Yep, Harvig, Dazoo, Glamsitter, Danley, Kratochville, Serwinski, Vakanov, Youngstra, Sopodensky, Rochov, Lepet, Gillette, Paparimopoulos, Singh, Patalia, Edison, Araim. So yeah, that should be, I think we should be able to get for everyone in a couple of minutes. There go Canalia, Brenna, yeah, everyone is flooding back in, so yep, so
this is something admittedly that we probably should point out on stream. This is something that has been unfortunately happening a bit lately. It hasn't been happening in Formula Sprint 2, but for the past 2 rounds in Super League, there have been instances where there would be a fairly noticeable disconnection all at once of drivers. At Mexico Super League, I think it was 2 drivers at once, and at Singapore, it was, I think, either 4 or 5. And both times it happened near the end of the race with about no more than 10 laps to go. But this time in Formula Sprint 2 it's happened during warm-up, so that's admittedly fairly concerning, as we see a priority 1 sliding off into the distance, which I'm assuming means we've moved on to the race session. No, it's qualifying.
Yeah, I think we're just waiting for. We're waiting for the race supervisor to move over through to the race. So often when the server is restarted, it often goes back through to as if the weekend never happened. So that won't be the case, and we will go through to the race very shortly. I think we're seeing some people leaving and joining. Salagi has just left, but now he's managed to rejoin. Samarison is in, so I think there's 29 cars in.
29 were there were 30 in qualifying, so we are missing still 1 more person.
That's gonna be fine. I think I want to check who it is. No, it's not. Very, very interesting here, ladies and gentlemen. I've never actually experienced this in all my years of commentating, of having a server outage. I know I was aware about this previously, as you mentioned before, in GPVWC and other scenarios, but it is a bit peculiar. But some cars are going to go out, so we're going to do a warm-up through once again, just to, I think, another through grace period. I think maybe about 2 or 3 minutes until we go for to the race, and for the administrator as well to adjust through the qualifying few positions. Thank you very much, everyone, for your patience as well. We apologize for the technical difficulties, but the server is now back up and running, and we're going to prepare ourselves for 18 laps here for the first race of the Interlagos round here in Formula Sprint 2.
Yep, as we can see Alex Lahoo in the stream chat already congratulating Potentia and assuming the race ended. Not quite. We're not quite there yet.
Not just yet, Alex. It's just we'll need to wait until the drivers go across the line. Of course, if Potentia somehow go pointless, then it's and Tumala manages to win both races, 55 points, then he will single-handedly bring the gap down to about 65 points, and the team's constructors come through to the final race of the season. So there is that for you to keep in mind, Alex. So I wouldn't dismiss Cap Clay just yet, even though it's not looking to be in their favor.
Highly unlikely, but never impossible. Although we're Tuamala starting in 14th, actually, seeing as Ockenhaug has that 10th place grid penalty, which moves him to 17th. So I was wrong earlier about Tuamala being in 15th. He's in fact 14th. Apologies for that. But seeing as, well, Tuamala, as we just mentioned, is 14th, and the Potentias are holding the 1st and 5th grid slot. Again, highly unlikely, but never impossible.
Just, I'm reading over through my notes. I'm just reading over through my notes just to get myself, easily acquainted through with Interlagos as well. And that is the 30 drivers, so everyone that has been through during qualifying is now here during the race. So again, Justin van der Smissen, the 30 grace grid penalty, and Ockenhaug with also his penalty to his own. So they're both going to be 17th and 30th in their respective fields, so there will be that for you to keep in mind. Ockenhaug has actually done very, very good in recent form, so I'm wondering if this might be a bit of the span of the works to his actually good change of form, because he ever since the Nürburgring, he has scored points in every single... No, my bad. Ever since Hungary, he has scored points in every single round. So being in P17 in a track like Interlagos is a little bit difficult. It's not the end of the world. He can make those places, obviously, but it's going to be very difficult for the Norwegian, especially when you consider Youngstra has done very well, and I think, and as well with Skinner as well.
Yeah, it will definitely hamper his performances a tiny bit, but I don't see them hampering him as much as some people might potentially expect. It is P17, but it also isn't the end of the world. We've seen what Magnus Ockenhaug is capable of. He did get a double P4 at Singapore 2 weeks ago, and the 2 rounds before that he got first place in both of the race 2. So he got P1 in race 2 for Italy, was it not? And for Mexico, although in Italy he did finish 14th in race 1, and in Mexico 10th in race 2, in race 1, apologies. So potentially he could rely, although ideally he shouldn't, on trying to get as much back in race 2 that he isn't able to accomplish in race 1.
Okay, the server has now switched over through to the race. That's going to be very interesting for everyone to keep in mind. We've gone through about most of the protagonists through onto the grid. Again, the big championship implications is going to make this very, very important, as they're going to wait for the timer to tick down. We did see a bit of latency issues. Actually, I think that was the server just switching over through to the race, so that's nothing really to be alarmed at the moment, but again, lot of things are going to be at stake here. Sandeep Singh can well and truly cement it, and well, he's already pushed out from Julio Lopez's grip, but a chance to cap that off in his, well, effectively first race as a championship winner with a win at Interlagos is going to be a sign of things to come for the Indian and to the rest of the grid, that things are not going to stop and he will not stop winning, and that is going to be pretty interesting for you to keep in mind. The timer is now ticked down, and we're going to wait for the drivers to roll off. Sandeep Singh is going to lead the field down over through turn 1. Again, very, very technical and very downhill. But as they go for downhill and start for their formation lap, let's remind us through one more time for the starting order of today's race. Coming through for first, Sandeep Singh holds onto a very important pole position with Ben Skinner through in second, Philip Sawinski down in third, with Victor Bernat, the Spaniard, over through fourth in the second row. Outside of that, Domenico Scarpelli makes a potential 1-5 with Joe Gillette share alongside him for row 3. Thijs Youngstra through 7th with Kurt Rochev completely through alongside him. Still again in the top 10, very good athletic Sydney motorsport driver. Outside of that, Christian Glamsiter through the night with Andrea Canalia, Orbit and Scuderia Ferrero, both cars into the top 10. Bobby Vakinov with Sherfru with his teammate completing through row 6. And outside of that for P13, Michael Tumala with the penalties applied, he's pushed himself up into P13. We'll have Alex Day with company. Marco Zazzoli upon his return will be in the point square position, but we'll have Oganat to keep for company in row 8. After that, Mark Salaki for Team RNG in 7th with Angelos Papanopoulos. Good qualifying result for him at P18. Alfie Denley managed to do very well for 19th with Juho Soppinen with company, completely for row 10. Outside of the top 20, Remco de Zeeuw for Blue Horns with Michael Vidsnevich. Those two in the midst of a battle for the standings as it stands, with Rafael Arim in 23rd with Caroline Harvick for 24th. Leila Petralia for Venus 24th and 25th. David Yunt will follow through alongside her in 26th with Eric Brenner down behind in 27th. Will follow through with Jirko Touchfield in 28th for the Academy. And then Craig Patterson through to 29th, and for Justin van der Smissen with that 30 grid penalty applied means that he starts right from the back of the grid.
Yeah, feel free to take a bit of a breather until we see the lights go out at Amir. That was fairly quick from you.
It's light work. It's not that I've done worse, but 32. Well, I'm usually done with 30 cars, so I'm very lucky that somehow 2 cars are missing. But of course, it is a bit of a sad feat. Otherwise, I would have had to need more oxygen molecules here for today. 18 laps up for ahead, 30 cars here. Again, the top 15 is the one that scores the positions, and it is the P11 through the P15 that is in a lottery for reverse grid here for race 2. There's the grid markings just not there, but Justin Van Smith and Craig Patterson will have it outlined here. We're going to wait for the lights to come out through. Sandeep Singh has got a big task ahead of him to defend through as the 5 lights come on out here. They're off and we're underway here. Sandeep Singh has a pretty good start. Has defended from Ben Skinner, looking down for the outside line. Meanwhile, down from behind, Victor Bernat defends over from Scarpelli. And Ben Skinner look down for the round for turn 1, but Sandeep Singh has got nothing through. And look at this, that Thijs Youngstra being cut off there by Bernat. Domenico Scarpelli loses the position through the process. Bobby Vakinov has managed to improve up for up at the 10th. And Alfie Denley, my goodness me, this is going to be absolutely carnage here up ahead. And there's a lot of places jostling up for ahead, but still the tension up for ahead. Sandeep Singh still holds up through to the lead. And look at all this carnage going to it for turn 4. And look at all this. We see Tumana's managed to get a position up for the 12th. David Young over down for turn 4. That's some cars going out wide, but they still managed to keep it through all into one piece. And my goodness me, Lorenzo, what a start this is. Christian Glamsiter making for a move to defend Bobby Vakinov, who's done a very good start up into top 10, but will still friend up down behind. That's nearly 3 wide as they approach through to the second sector, as Salaki drops off through behind.
That was absolutely great start. We saw some great battles immediately. I did not get quite a good look at who went wide through turn 4, but we did see 2 cars, and from the looks of things, the HUD performance cars seem to be the biggest gainers and the biggest losers on this opening lap. Vakunov has moved up, I think, to P10, however lap it has dropped to P13. And we didn't mention during warm-up, but that Okenhaug would want to get past Tuamala as fast as possible. He started P16 and he's still P16 as Tuamala moves to P12. As we go 3 wide into turn 1, Scarpelli loses P5 as Youngstra looks to gain 2 positions and overtakes both Gillette and Scarpelli. And it's an amazing move by the Dutchman there.
Yeah, absolutely. Very impressive. Yellow in Sector 1. That might be coming out from the center SS, though. Tension to the back, though. Kurt Rochev in the midst of the slipstream state. Domenico Scarpelli has to try to look down for, but there's Joe Gillette trying to go side by side. Hitting over for turn 4. Trying to get Thijs Youngstra out. Thijs Youngstra has to go wide. Uses a bit for the grass, but manages to rejoin for the racing surface. And Domenico Scarpelli maybe to buy for a little bit from this. Still for lap 2 out of 18 here, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot believe this.
And well, we did not quite get a good look because of that angle whether there was any contact between Gillette and Youngstra. I highly doubt it, but Yongsha has seemingly peeled off fairly successfully and fairly quickly from Gillette after that little squabble in turn 4, and Gillette seems closer now to Scarpelli than he is to Yongsha, so I do not feel like Gillette will be endangering Yongsha for that P5 this time around, although it does remain to be seen whether the slipstreams will cancel out each other, as we see Shilagi now attacking Johannes Lepid for P11 as Sandeep Singh sets the best lap time of the race so far. And as we look back and look in front of us, as Roychav's not quite successful in getting past Scarpelli there, and Shilagi seems to have fallen off massively as he's now in P16, so he was not successful at all in his attempt to overtake Lepid, and he's lost 4 positions as Lepid has now been overtaken by Alex Day as well. And there seem to be yellow flags. Paparinopoulos is dropping, someone else is dropping, it's Juho Sopanen, Anders Smithson and Ockenhaug is dropping, Glamsetter is dropping, the 2 Norwegians seem to be going down like boulders. Vicentievich looked to be dropping as well for a split second there. And I would like to get a look on what's happening. Yellow is still in sector 1, someone is wide there, and there's a lot of things happening right now, and we're not quite able to keep track of everything that's going on. The Roychav still chasing Scarpelli. Seems things have settled down now as most people are going through sector 2, which is not really an ideal place of the track to try and overtake, as it makes sense. Roychav is going to use his slipstream here on Scarpelli, and will he be able to get past him on the straight, or will he have to make a move into turn 1? They're alongside each other. Roychav's currently just barely in front, and I think he might have him now. Scarpelli defends well. Ooh. There's slight contact there, but doesn't look like it will affect either driver. And Roychav now has Vakunov fairly close behind him, and he might have to defend now as opposed to attack.
Yep, Paparinopoulos up it for the P15 though, looking down from behind. Kurt Rochev going to look down for the inside now for turn 4. Scarpelli runs him over, and Rochev has to go sideways, and Vakanov and Chinalia were able to benefit from this, and a little bit of contact though going on for Max out down for turn 4, through to 5 now. Through going to for 6 into Fintera, they're both going to be going free wide. Is going to be absolute carnage here as they approach through to the second sector here, and they still all managed to come up for intact. Absolutely incredible races that we've seen here. It's still only lap 4 out of 18, and they're still jostling for positions here, but Scarpelli still holds up for his 7th. Vakanov brings himself up at 8. Rochev just drops down over to 9th, but Ganalia can't really do an overtake through to push himself up to the top 10 even further.
And we already have a DNF, unfortunately, even though it's lap 4. Eric Brenner is out of the race. We did see 3 cars in the pit lane as well, Tetzoli, Harving and Kratokville. And for a split second, we did see yellow flags in sector 2. And Alfie Dunley alongside, I think, one of the VMSs dropped quite massively, as neither seem to be in the points anymore. And I feel like, it was Johannes Lepid. It was Johannes Lepid who's without a front wing. And is Alfie Dunley of the same fate? He does seem to be quite a bit ahead, as that's one of the Mapes VO cars going very slowly. Shilagi very, very close there to Christian Glamsetter, and I do not think he'll be able to overtake him just quite yet. In fact, he might have to defend here from Justin van der Smissen, who I accidentally said was the one dropping with Danley, as van der Smissen eyes an overtake there on the inside of turn 4, but not quite alongside enough to perform it.
Van der Smissen's got a very good run, I must say. In the span of 5 laps, he's got himself from P30 all the way up into P17. That's probably by far the most amount of positions that we've ever seen a driver gained. And look at that, 13 places though. Craig Patterson as well, 15 places to push himself through into the point scoring position. Very good there from what we see from these 2 drivers that both started at the back of the field, and now they're in that chance for points going through position. Paparinopoulos a bit off for the dirt though. Maybe a lap for Craig Patterson from Guernsey, able to benefit from this as they're going to approach over through to the final sector. It just needs to perfect through that line, through those final corners, and we'll be able to benefit from the slipstream. However, he'll have to worry about Glam Center through behind. Actually, he's going to go wide, hoping to take through the speed, unless if Papadopoulos is going to head in. No, he's not. He's just going to use through that line of the track, and this is going like for Patterson with the more top speed in that line, although we'll have to worry about the orbit driver of behind as well. Van der Smissen makes for an overtake now, and look, it's going to be going 3 wide quick. Patterson managed to make the overtake, but Glam Center will fall for alongside. They both make contact, and that's a line from Patterson to lose out through P13, and Glam Center gets himself up into 13. Johnson Van der Smissen in the midst, and knocking out for P16, out on for the verge of the points here. This is incredible here, coming out for turn 3, and look at this, Fusilagi may be able to try and benefit from this, but no, Okenhag tries to defend from Van der Smissen, will hold on for the inside line, and Okenhag will hold for the outside one, not quite pushing, but just giving him about enough of a racing room here. Van der Smissen still holds on through to P16 here.
And I think Van der Smissen overtaking Okenhaug there might slightly benefit Shilagi as well. If he's smart with his moves here, he might try moving. No! Ooh, very, very aggressive there on the curb as Okenhaug closes the door on him. As Okenhaug tried to think of a move on Van der Smissen, as Shilagi was thinking of a move on Okenhaug. So that could have ended very, very badly, but fortunately enough, it did not. And Shilagi will try and gain that P17 now back in Sector 1 again, as Craig Patterson will think of getting back that P13 from Glamsetter, who went very, very wide there, and that might cost him very dearly here in Sector 1.
Yep, that much on the grass means that his top speed is effectively hindered Craig Patterson with a good exit though, and will have for the slipstream Glam Center to push himself away from Papadopoulos and company for P15 now. Ogenau looking down to the outside of Van der Smissen over through turn 1. If he keeps it on 3, he'll have the inside line down for turn 2, but he can't quite just yet. Justin will still hold on 3 to P16, although I think Ogenau might have a better exit. Papadopoulos though, benefit from Glam Center's. Glam Center got overtaken by Patterson for P13, and look at this, a bit of a kick in the dust over. Glam Center holds up to the inside line, coming over for Decina Delago, and look at this is going to be absolutely incredible.
Papadopoulos went a bit wider, which allowed Van der Smissen to get past him, but will it allow either of Okenhaug or Shilagi to make... Ooh, no!
Oh my goodness me, that is someone off going wide. That was be Raphael, and with Glam Center slow on the racing line. I don't think the Mapes Vote racing driver was at all expecting that, but that's very lucky. There was no casualties through involved in that little bit of contact, but it has paid its dividends though. Really heavily up, deadly goes sideways though, but still will keep on for ahead of Leila Pachalia in P23rd.
And I feel like, as we see Victor Bernard's had a fastest lap, and we take a look at the top 5, which we haven't been able to because of all the action in the back. Victor Bernard currently in P3, only half a second behind Filip Chavinsky, who himself is a second behind Sandeep Singh in the lead. So Singh quite comfortably, at least for now, in the lead, as it seems there's a bigger battle for P2 than for P1. Skinner is in 4th, and then a 4-second gap between himself and Yongsha in P5. So the top 5 seem fairly comfortable, at least for now, as Bobby Vakuinov makes the move for P7 on Domenico Scarpelli. Fairly comfortable and easy move there, although Scarpelli doesn't seem quite done with that battle yet. He'll try and conjure something up, although he's not quite there yet to do it, and we'll have to look back on lap 9 again through Sector 1 there.
Yeah, Scarpelli doing a 25.6 while Vakuinov did a 24.2. So Vakuinov was about 4/10 faster than the Italian on his best. So that's a bit of a telling, and Scarpelli doing very well to hold back Vakuinov as much as he can. But now since Vakuinov has overtaken Scarpelli, his gap to Gillette now is 1.5 seconds, which is going to be very hard to overcome by. But look at this position for P15 for that final point scoring position, and also a chance to get a reverse pole position here. Okenhag still on the verge of trying to get into that threshold, especially since he's been a very good race 2 specialist in recent memories. So for the Norwegian to try and get himself up even higher is going to be pretty good news for him, but he have to worry about Papadopoulos. Has done very well to keep out of danger to get himself through in into GPVWC Academy into P15, but Okenhag down for the inside of turn 1 will make it happen. Van der Smissen meanwhile will lose out on the position to Hop Soppinen, as Soppinen will hold on through down to turn 1.
And that was a very, very good overtake by Soppinen. I feel like if he manages to keep it steady on the track, he might just be able to catch Paparinopoulos and maybe Okenhaug as well and get into those points-paying positions, as even without the slipstream that Okenhaug was getting off of Paparinopoulos' car, Paparinopoulos looked very, very slow on the straight, as Van der Smissen now gets back past Soppinen, and you can see just how much slower that GPWC Academy car looks compared to some of the others on track. It might be setup difference hampering Paparinopoulos here. The Greek native might be losing points down to a different setup, and he might be losing even more positions, as Van der Smissen looks very, very much like he's on a charge here. Although, again, he still has to worry about Soppinen and Glamsetter, who has climbed back up from that earlier contact with Vakuinov, was it? I think it was.
Yeah, I think Van der Smissen, though, done very, very well to be in that position where he is. I think the good thing with Vakuinov, meanwhile down for behind, Kurt Rotyov trying to get into P8. Scarpelli is kind of dropping a little bit and has to try and hold on to the positions as much as he possibly can. Kurt Rotyov sees an opening down for turn 3, and that's going to allow for Scarpelli to not take advantage of the racing line, and Kurt Rotyov will be able to benefit from this, though. Although Scarpelli will have a bit more speed, that's going to cost his tires quite dearly, and Rotyov can't really capitalize on it, and we'll have to worry about Canalia down for behind to hold on through to the top 10, though. But still very good there from the Estonian, I must say, especially where he started. He's managed to keep hold of the positions. Whenever we see drivers usually either get promoted or demoted, it's not really a bad thing that Kurt Rotyov still holds on to that position that he started in.
Absolutely, and these points might prove crucial in that battle for P3 that we mentioned earlier. And speaking of P3 on track currently, Victor Berna, he doesn't seem to be going anywhere currently, doesn't seem to be closing in enough on Chervinsky to threaten him, and it doesn't seem like Skinner is closing in enough on him to threaten him. As we did see a flash of yellow flags there, Bernat is picking up that slipstream fairly nicely off of Chervinsky's car, but it doesn't seem like he's getting quite enough of it to get close enough to make a move. He thinks of it, but then thinks better of it, and doesn't opt for that overtake. And he might think of something with a good enough line through the Senna S's, which didn't look like a fairly good line compared to Chervinsky's at least. And Ben Skinner also not quite close enough to Bernat to think of any moves this lap. And Bernat doesn't seem to be close enough to Chervinsky to think of anything this lap either. So the second through the fourth just seem to be in sort of limbo, really, expecting one another to make a mistake to capitalize on it.
Yep, we did see over through lap 1 about Sawinski, Bernat and Skinner all going at each other for that position, and then just a relatively safe for where it is. Meanwhile, Sandy, not involved in that fight, has managed to effectively run away with it, and 2 seconds clear with 7 laps to go is going to be smooth sailing for the Indian. The question is if he has been pressuring too much onto the tires that he may have to nest the car in and over, which in that case, Sawinski, Bernat and Skinner will come through running, and the lap car traffic is going to be involved as well, which isn't going to swing to Singh's favor because that will be added dirty air.
Absolutely, and we did see him fairly close to the GPWC Academy car of Jiri Kratochwil, and we did see Caroline Harving not far either, but after clearing those two he will have a vaguely 15-second gap to the next lapped car, which means once he closes in on them, the goal is to get past them as quick as possible to minimize that dirty air and minimize any potential mishaps that could happen between himself and those lapped cars. As you see, Victor Bernat again getting that slipstream off of Chervinsky, but not getting enough as Chervinsky is breaking the toe, and Bernat, because of that, not close enough to try and make a move into turn 4 there.
Using like as much as the car he possibly can. Joe Gillette, meanwhile, in a position for Tice Youngster. This is going to be for top 5. Vakinov able to benefit from this a little bit as they go through Cedar Delago. Gillette has a better exit out coming through turn 5, coming over through to Ferrodura. And it's not going to be close enough that Hunter Birch may have wanted, but at least they're still on the verge of getting double points once through again this race, as Joe Gillette still applying through to the pressure onto Tice Youngster, trying to find any way to get him off his racing line to make the move into P5. He's going to look down for the inside, cutting over through to this corner into Pico de Pacho, and it's going to be a little bit close, but Gillette can't just seem to push Youngster out of his element, and Vakinov able to benefit from this. Not quite enough. He's not quite close, coming for Jinsao, and that will still hold on through to the positions. Youngstra still 5th, Gillette still 6th, Vakinov still 7th, still lap 12 out of 18.
We might see that positions change though, as we see Vakunov is picking up also slipstream fairly nice. This is a very, very good straight for slipstream battles, as we've seen very often.
Whoa!
3 wides, as we nearly see one there yet again, as Vakunov goes outside on Gillette, and that inside line into turn 2 proves crucial for Vakunov as he goes up into P6 temporarily. And will he be able to move up into P5 as well, potentially down this straight?
What a move by Vakinov. Vakinov may be able to make 2 places in the span of the first sector. Bit of a collision though with Youngstra. Hopefully won't give him too much damage to the front wing, and we'll just have to stick through behind the Dutchman, as meanwhile Gillette has to worry about Scarpelli down from behind. But Vakinov is going to look out for the outside line, but Youngstra will cut him off.
Very, very good defending there by Youngstra, very aggressive, and Vakunov, I feel like he'll definitely want to get past Youngstra as soon as possible, because there's now a bit of a train forming behind Youngstra of 5 cars, P5 down through to P9, I think that is. I did not quite see whether Roychav is in that train as well, no, not quite. So it is all the way from Kinaya up to Youngstra, and all 5 of them, as Kurt Roychav goes on the grass a tiny bit there, and we see Alex Day is not far from Roychav either with 5 laps to go now. So the ST racing car might want to go up into that P10, as Victor Bernat thought of making a move at Chavinsky, but he wasn't quite there, although he's still very, very close. And Chavinsky will again try to break the toe as Vakunov goes up and past Faiz Youngstra. I did say he'll think of it in turn 1, and he did think of it and he accomplished it. Although I would like to see whether Youngstra will be able to reply on the main straight. Not quite. Gillette also thought about making his own statement, but wasn't quite there for it. Youngstra currently stays in P6, although doesn't look like he wants to stay in it for much longer, although he isn't quite able to get past Vakunov. Although Gillette, that is a brilliant move by the Englishman, and will he be able to make it stick, as Youngstra does have the inside line here, although Gillette has it now, and Gillette makes it stick. Youngstra tries and get back very, very close to contact there, but fortunately enough, Youngstra manages to avoid it, although Scarpelli didn't quite expect him to go so wide to avoid it, and slightly taps him on the rear, although I don't think either driver got any major damage from it. And Youngstra loses 2 places in the span of 1 lap, and it might be more now as Scarpelli might make a good move here for P7. Think of the outside and doesn't go for it, as they now go 3 wide into turn 1. No, Youngstra's gone past Gillette.
Yeah, he's gone wide. Scarpelli able to benefit this. Look at this. He's going to try and hold on to Joe Gillette, but Joe Gillette still holds on for the inside line, and Scarpelli can't really make the overtake through, but they're all going to have through a swing car 1, and look at this. Gillette going to make the move all around the outside onto Youngstra, going over through turn 4, and it's going to be pretty close. They're almost touching each other, but they're still going to be able to go side by side in the exit through to 5. And look at this. Youngstra still through to the outside line. Gillette has the inside line a little bit for an advantage. They both make contact. They both make contact. Gillette goes round. He'll drop down to top 11. But Youngstra, I think, might be out though. That is someone else going off. That is Canali as well. That is over through turn 6 for the 7, and it's all kicking off here. Still 3 laps to go. Youngstra's retired indeed.
That's heartbreak for the Dutchman there. He was so close to a very, very good result. Not only for himself, but for the team as well. Team RNG chasing RGS in the Drivers' Championship. And yeah, that is very, very unfortunate there for Youngstra, as he loses his right rear wheel. And yeah, not much that can be said there, really. And Gillette carries on 2 positions down, I think it was, as just loses control for a split second and corrects himself into Youngstra, and unfortunately it's the end of the road for Youngstra in race 1 as Gillette continues, and I feel like Youngstra will definitely feel hard done by that. As we move our attention to Filip Czerwinski, who's been overtaken by Victor Bernat in the meantime for P2, as Victor Bernat, the Spaniard there, closed the door on Czerwinski to dissuade him from any moves here in Sector 2. And with 2 laps to go, Czerwinski now looks to be battling Skinner more so than Bernat, so we could see Skinner on the podium as opposed to Czerwinski.
Absolutely, it's going to be interesting for Czerwinski. Consistency with the tires, they're not really going to be up for on shape as much as the other ones, as Czerwinski has disconnected, and that's unfortunate. He was running for the top 3.
Well, that's just definitely not something you'd like to see, especially in regards for a podium battle, and just in general for a driver. Very unfortunate there for Czerwinski, but there's not much you can say really. These things are just not something you can expect, and unfortunately it just happens at times, to some more so often than others. But again, very, very sad there for Czerwinski, and I think he can only keep his head up for race 2 now and hope to gain back as much as he has lost in race 1 now, as Joe Gillette looks to gain P7 from Alex Day, who seems to have capitalized quite a lot but goes wide into turn 2 and through to turn 3 there, touching the grass a little bit, as Alex Day, who I remember mentioning a couple of laps ago, was battling for P10, where I think it was Kurt Roychav is now in P7. Kurt Roychav himself is now in P5, so those two have capitalized massively on both Youngstra and Gillette's misfortune, and on Czerwinski's disconnect as well. And Bobby Vakunov as well is now in P4, so there's been a massive shuffle of positions here in the past lap and a half to 2, and this is something that under circumstances is not nice to see, but as a neutral, the racing is definitely nice to see.
Absolutely, you can just see there with Alex Day, with those tires being worn, you have to be really careful for on the track limits. But Alex Day, what a drive we're seeing from him, I must say. Hey, it's going to be the first time that he's actually going to score through points. His best result only been P16, and he's going to nearly make that 10 times up for that place, as Remco de Zoo almost on the verge of scoring points as well, but it's just a bit too far ahead. 2.5 seconds between himself and Salagi, and Juho Soppinen has to defend from the team RG for P15 as well. It is all kicking off here as Sandeep Singh approaches through to his final lap of the race, as Magnus Okkenhag in the midst of Tumala. This is going to be for P10, and Okkenhag has to defend from his life against Tumala if he wants to do anything to hold on through to the top 10. Over for turn 3 they go, but Tumala will have through the slipstream. Okkenhag looks for left, looks for right, tries to do everything he possibly can for the defend, nearly both touching each other, going over for turn 4, and Okkenhag will still hold on through down to the inside line, and Hunter Birch will still keep on to that top 10.
Good defending from Okkenhag there, but remember, this isn't just for P10, this is for potentially P3 in the standings. Now the Youngstra is out of race 1, and with Roychav in P5, Okkenhag and Tuomala both are going to look to gain as many points here in race 1, so that they can one-up each other and potentially overtake James Knox for P3, who's not driving no longer in this Formula Sprint 2 season as he moved into Super Light, and one driver who's been in Super Light before and is now winning in FS2, Sandeep Singh, who has a celebratory spin over the line, and I feel like that's definitely going to be looked at after the race, but he doesn't particularly care, as he's now World Driver Champion confirmed. Victor Bernat in P2, Ben Skinner in P3, Bobby Vakunov has crossed the line in P4, if I am correct, yes. Joe Gillette hasn't been able to catch Alex Day. The Czech man finishes in P7. Very good result from him. As we look at Mark Shilagi trying to gain that P15 from Juho Soppinen, will he be able to get enough slipstream in time to get that final point for Team RNG? No, not quite. The Finnish man finishes in P15. Justin van der Smissen isn't able to overtake Remco de Zovide for P17. Rafael Arhem seems to have beaten Mihailovic and Tiovic for P19 as well. And as we see Sandeep Singh's car there, without any front or rear wing, resembling a Formula Ford car, as Domenico Scarpelli weaves in celebration with his teammate. And I think this just confirms that both championships have gone in the way of Potentia today. The Drivers' Championship most certainly has, but I think it remains to be checked actually where the potential has now secured the team's championship, seeing as Sandeep Singh and Domenico Scarpelli finished 5th and 6th, and Tuomala, the sole cap clay, finished 11th.
We will keep on through to that, but Sandeep Singh, the festivities continue for potential Grand Prix as Sandeep Singh on his first race as Formula Sprint 2 2025 champion caps off with another race win. This makes it up to 7 race wins for the Indian, and what a fantastic dominant that was, especially from all the drama that we've witnessed here in Interlagos. He was out of it and he delivered here in fantastic fashion. Really, really, really phenomenal from him, I must say. From the start all the way to the very end, no one can really seem to challenge Sandeep, and he'll be extremely thrilled with that. But he's got another challenge up ahead as he'll have to try and do it all over again come for race 2, which is going to be really difficult. But again, he is indeed the Formula Sprint 2 drivers champion of the world. Massive congratulations over to Sandeep and to Potentia as well for that amazing achievement. Victor Burnett manages to benefit from the overtake on Sawinski to get himself through up into P2. A phenomenal result for Victor Burnett. It is actually his best result in a Formula Sprint 2 career thus far, so fantastic for him. Ben Skinner with a very important podium. It's the first time that he's got a podium since back in Silverstone, and very important there for Albert Morsbeth as well. Big congratulations as well to the Englishman Bobby Vakinov. Very, very good for him. Having started outside from the top 10, he pushes himself up into 4th. Very impressive there from the Bulgarian, with Kurt Ruchov. The Estonian will complete through the top 5. Domenico Scarpelli couldn't hold on to the top 5, but will still put on a very impressive points haul for potential Grand Prix, as we're waiting for confirmation if they have to secure the team standings. And if that's the case, what a way to do it through for potential to hold on to 1st and 6th in race 1, with Alex Day, one of his best results yet, up into 7th, which is good. It's the first time they scored points in his FS2 career, so very good there from the Czech driver. And Hunter Birch will hold on through to 8th and 10th. Joe Gillette with 8th, and Magnus Ockenhagen 10th, with Andre Canalio hold on to Scooter Fritchinera in 2nd and 9th as well. Outside from that, Mikhail Tumala, having started just outside of the points, gets himself up until 11th. Very good for him, with Craig Patterson, having started all the way from the back, manages to convert that into a point scoring position, with Antonas Paparanopoulos also getting his best result as well for the Greek driver since actually back in Singapore at race 2, with Christian Glamsiter in 14th and Juho Sopanen being the last point scorer here in race 1. Outside of that, we have Mark Salagi in 16th, Remco Deziu in 17th, Justin van der Smissen in 18th, Rafael Arim in 19th, and Mihailo Vincenevich in 20th. And then outside of the top 20, Leila Petralia in 21st, with David Yunt in 22nd, Mara Tazzoli in the midst of a carnage in 23rd, along with Lepit, Harvig, and Kotochvil. Both have been affected by the drama that we witnessed before us here in Interlagos, so their results are not really perspective from where they really could have been. But the retirements being Thijs Youngstra with that collision, Alfie Denley and Eric Brenner, and we're also the retirement also for Sawinski as well, with a very, very unfortunate disconnect for the Polish driver.
Absolutely, and I do wonder now, seeing as the race is over and all the action has settled down, whether we will have enough time to check on what happened to those DNFs. I did see a couple of people, well, I say a couple of people, mostly just Eric Brenner, requesting us to show his DNF on stream, so I am curious as to what exactly happened to the Norwegian in the Solar GS car today. Whether we could have that pulled up, Fabian?
I think there's a lot that we didn't see actually through today, but Eric Brenner's the one that came through to mind. He was one of the first retirements in about a couple of laps ago whenever we started, so that is coming over through turn 1. So this is in his battle with Yuri Kotochvil over for the back, and that is Harvig down from behind, so they're almost going to be going down 3 wide, heading for turn 1. Oh, and that's a bit of a contact there from the Venus as she's trying to move down into turn 1, but I think it just wasn't quite there, couldn't turn quite enough. And yeah, that's completely understandable, especially when you're going 3 wide in that circumstances. There's Harvig being squeezed, Kotochvil and Brenner, and then she maybe a bit too early for the brakes than she may have anticipated, and that's unfortunate there from Caroline. But also Yearly also involved, having to go off track and lost positions in the process, and Caroline also dropping down as well. So that was indeed very unfortunate with Eric Brenner. Would classify that as a racing incident in my opinion.
Yeah, very unfortunate there for Eric, but hopefully race 2 goes better for him, and as well for Caroline and Jiri. No use in crying over what has happened. Just looking forward to what can happen, and if he employs that mindset, I think he'll do well in race 2 and nothing to worry about.
18 laps are done for race 1. We're going to continue on through with 18 more laps on race 2. But until that, we're going to take a very quick short break and we'll be back for more impressive Interlagos action. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you soon in a few moments. And a very warm welcome back here to Formula Sprint 2. We still have got 18 laps left for race 2 after what's been a very thrilling first race. What we usually see here in FS2 is that usually race 2 is often even more dramatic than race 1, but it's really hard to top that. We have confirmation through coming to the reverse grid pole sitter. Lorenzo, do you want to break the news?
Yeah, sure, why not? And unfortunately for everyone watching, the P11 curse remains unbroken, as it is P12 Craig Patterson who will be on reverse grid pole. And one thing I will like to say about this is this will bring us a fairly juicy battle at the start of race 2 for potentially P3 in the standings, as this means Mikael Tuomala and Magnus Hockenheim are going to be second and third. So they would definitely like to get past Craig Patterson as fast as possible and duke it out on track between themselves. And I feel like Hockenhaug, seeing his recent track record, where he finished 4th once and 1st twice in the last 3 rounds in race 2, he might just have the edge on Tuomala, potentially.
Maybe. I could see that. Craig Patterson, of course, he himself is a race 2 specialist as well. His first race win this season was race 2 back on the Hungaroring, but of course the Hungaroring is really difficult for you to overtake, and if you place your car perfectly, then you can defend it very well. So Patterson has got quite a challenge up ahead, because yes, he is starting from pole position, but this time it's going to be in Interlagos, and what we have seen with the amount of overtakes and battles that we've just witnessed in race 1, race 2 is going to be pretty difficult for Craig if he wants to hold on to that lead. Of course, the advantage that he might have is similar to what Sandeep has had. A good start means that you can push yourself away from that battle, but again, when you think about what you've got from behind it, Hockenhaug and Tuomala, especially for what they're fighting for in their respective battles in the championship, it's going to make Patterson a lot more difficult to defend, I reckon. As they just wait for the form-up to slowly come to an end, and we'll be able to go through to the start of this race over. So about a couple of cars indeed have doing their warm-ups. Of course, what we have just seen from race 1, it's been a pretty interesting race at all, and I think a lot of people are indeed resting up for their arms, just trying to rewire themselves mentally to prepare themselves for another 18-lap car up ahead. Sandeep Singh, of course, starting a bit lower than he probably would have, but again, we have seen him manage to recover up from such positions. In fact, he has never managed, for every race that he's won in race 1, he has never actually managed to get a podium. Well, the last time he got a podium was back in Spa-Francorchamps, but he's never managed to win 2 races in a row, and last time he did it was all the way back in Belgium. So there is a bit of a possibility that we could see him either give it his all here again to maybe get his second such feat in a row. But then again, as well, race 2 is not really Sandeep's specialty, because the best that he's ever gotten was back in Jeddah, whenever he finished 12th in the first race and he won in race 2. But this time he doesn't really seem to do well whenever he wins in race 1, and then in race 2 he's amidst in that midfield. So it's going to be. Do you think it's going to be such a situation that we're going to see Sandeep maybe struggle a bit again? Do you think, Lorenzo?
It definitely might happen. We did see him struggle a bit in Singapore, but at the same time, Singapore is a different beast in track terms compared to Interlagos, as well as there were interchanging conditions. There was wet and then dry. A lot of drivers got caught out in qualifying as well due to basically invisible wet weather. And it remains to be seen. One driver who we mentioned earlier might not be caught out is Craig Patterson. I'm looking through the YouTube chat currently. Edward Hunter has brought up that last season Craig Patterson won race 2 here around Interlagos, and that this is a fairly strong track from him, and we saw it in race 1, and I think we might be able to see it in race 2 as well. Although, as you mentioned already as well, Magnus Hockenhagen and Mikael Tuomala, 3rd and 2nd, right behind him respectfully, and they're going to have something to battle for themselves as well. So that's going to be definitely a very, very interesting battle in the opening laps, and I feel like, or at least I'd hope so, throughout the race as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I can 100% agree with you on that statement as well. Patterson has got through that good momentum. Of course, when we think about in race 1, he started all the way back on the back row of the grid and managed to propel himself up into P12, which is really, really impressive. In fact, nearly for the halfway distance, he was already up into P15. So that is a true testament for how good Craig goes around for this track, especially when you consider he was the only driver not to have done a qualifying run as well, a proper one, in fact. His time was indeed invalidated, or he crashed out through it. So there is that through to keep in mind. Gonna wait for all the 30 cars to line up onto the grid. Of course, a bit of the markets means that some of them will be just assigned for their designated parking positions, as they're gonna wait for everyone to join up and they wait for the timer to tick down. Who do you think? Any predictions for race 2 similar to race 1, or is it going to be similar to what we've seen in race 1 and there's no predictions, do you think?
I'd like to go into this with no predictions, as well as I feel like, as we mentioned already, the top 3 all have something to show themselves, as we see the blue horns of, I think that is Alfie Denley, rolling backwards before formation lap starts. And yeah, as I just mentioned, the top 3 all have something to prove to Amal and Hockenhagen, want to get past James Knox and past each other in that battle for P3. Patterson, as we just mentioned, won race 2 last season here, so he definitely has something to prove as well. Behind them is Andrea Kinaya in 4th position, who, seeing his teammate perform
through the P1, Craig Passon, sorry for interrupting you. Prentice Frank Cillian holds on to the reverse grid pole. Tomalo through in 2nd, with Hockenhagen 3rd, and Kinali will follow through on the Spaniard, and Bernat will be starting for the position similar to race 1. Joe Gillette through on 5th with the Hunter Birch 2-5, with Axtay following behind. Will keep on through with his momentums. Domenico Scarpelli, the highest for the potential, up in 7th. Kurt Rochov will have through company in 8th. Through the 9th, Bobby Vakinov, a very good performance with him. Will have Ben Skinner keeping for company in row 5, with Victor Bernat in 11th, falling through. The championship winner in Sadeep Singh will be in 12th. Andinos Paparanopoulos in 13th, with Christian Glamsitter for row 7. Juho Soppinen through 15th, with Mark Salagi in 16th. And then it's Remco de Zeeuw falling through with Justin Van der Smissen. It's an old Dutch 17th, 18th for that row. Rafael Raymond 19th, with Michał Vicenevich in 24 ST Racing. Outside of the top 20, Leila Petrali in 21st for the Italian. She'll have David Yunt through with company, similar to the previous round, in 22nd, with Martazzoli. Unfortunately for him, for the struggles, he'll be 23rd, and Overthrough for 24th. It was Jonas Lappet, Caroline Harvick for 25th, with Yuri Kotochville 26th, Philip Savinsky in 27th, with Thijs Youngstra in 28th, and completing through the final row on the grid is Alfie Denley. I will have Eric Brennett to keep alongside for company.
And I'm looking through the league server as you read out the starting grid, and it does look like Justin Van der Smissen has underfueled himself, so he will unfortunately start from the pit lane, it seems. So your full row of Dutch people seems to be incorrect, unfortunately, as we see there Justin Van der Smissen in the pit lane. Very unfortunate for the Dutchman.
It is correct, because if Rebco's just on that road, then it's still all Dutch. So I'm not wrong. It's still all them. That's going to be the 5 lads coming out. That's the 3. This is the 4th. And then the 5th. The lights are off and race 2 is going to be on the way. Tension up to the front. We'll see if Craig Pass can still hold it through. A poor start, actually. And that will offer Tamala to hold down to the inside line down for turn 1. If Okenag is able to bet for this, Craig Pass might be able to drop down 2 positions, though. Okenag able to go side by side with Craig Pass, and Craig Pass out to defend. He pushes off Okenag off track, and both manage to rejoin. But Pass will still hold it for a second, with Okenag for the third. Denver behind, Canali still to the 4th. Gillette still 5th. Day still 6th. And Scarpelli still 7th. Look at all this carnage going from behind. Nearly going to be going 3 wide down behind as they're going to enter down for turn 4, but there's still no positions up. Going to be up front. Victor Mack makes the overtake, a run through. Sandy Stings is still holding through to P11, and maybe he'll get himself up into the top 10 with an overtake for Kurt Rutschev. Rutschev still holds on through as they push it out for the second sector. Burnett holds on through, and he doesn't. He gets himself up into the top 10.
A very good move as we see Scarpelli off. Scarpelli and
managed to keep throwing to his ring, managed to rejoin at least. That was someone else going off. I think that was Remco. But Scarpelli joins, but he's down in 20th.
That's terrible. That is terrible, absolutely, for the Italian there, as he was the highest starting potential there. And even though I feel like they might have already closed out the team's championship as well as the drivers' championship, that might impact them if they haven't, as Tuamala has now sped off into the lead. He capitalized on Patterson's slow start, and Patterson battling Hockenheim through the center S's, and even though the gap is small now, Patterson still has to worry about Hockenheim behind him, as a bit of a stack up there between the top 3. Tuamala still in the lead though, and Patterson went on the grass there a bit, entering turn 3, and Hockenheim might look to gain something from that, although he still has Kinaya as well to worry about behind him.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Craig Patterson tries to look over through to Tumala, but can't really do it. Okenag goes to the bet for this. It's effectively of what you can do, I can also do. But look at this. Tumala's pulling away from Patterson, and Okenag might notice, trying to look through and get himself off to the racing line. But Patterson is not going to budge. He still wants to try and hold it in as much as he possibly can as they approach over through. Down for turn 8 now. Swings around through, downhill into Pinedo, and then out for 9, and then coming up through uphill of Pico de Pato. And Okenag still nowhere close to make an overtake onto Patterson. It's one of these cases of, yes, it's going to be a train, but anytime you take a deviation off the racing line, all hell eventually is going to break loose, though. Magnus still to the 3rd, Patterson 2nd, and Tumala, very importantly, still holds on to the race lead.
Absolutely, and we already have 2 DNFs unfortunately as well. Filip Czerwinski, it is a double DNF unfortunately for the Polish driver, and Mihalovic and Tijevic, the Serbian and the oldest driver currently on the FS2 grid, will not finish this race unfortunately, although we turn our attention to the drivers who are still with us, as Tuamalas has the fastest lap of the race so far, and Patterson thought about making a move on the inside but thought better of it, and it nearly caused Hockenheim to go into the back of him, as we saw yellow flags flash yet again. Bernat overtakes Rochard, Sopan and Lepe fighting, Paprinopoulos and Glamsetter fighting. There's fighting everywhere on track. Scarpelli is in the pit lane. Tertulli has been overtaken by some Kinaya and Skinner for P4. There's contact there between the 2 drivers. Kinaya is run wide. Skinner also goes wide. And I think Alex Day has gone past all of them as one of the hot performance cars in the back. Bobby Vakuinov, the Bulgarian, is off and is dropping positions and is out of the points already. And that means hot performance has fallen massively in this race too, as opposed to their race 1. Joe Gillette is now battling Kinaya for P6. Skinner is fairly close by as well. Alex Day, the Czech driver, has gained about 3 positions there in just 1 lap. Amazing stuff for him, but will he be able to keep it, Amir?
Not sure. It's very, very hard to tell. It's already coming out through loose as Vakuinov, again, as you mentioned, out of the points, all the way down in 23rd. That is bad for the Bulgarian, especially when you consider the performances they did back in race 1. It's going to be a very hard ask to get himself out to the top 15 once again, especially when you consider those tires, which is also why Scarpelli went into the pits. Having that, you know, whenever you have to go off through to the track, and then it just, that flat spot is just way, way too impactful. And it's a no-brainer that the fact Scarpelli had to go through into the pits. Joe Gillette still holds on through to 6th though. Almost had an opportunity to get himself through to the top 5. As we see the info behind that, it might be Lepit making for an overtake. Youngstrom makes an overtake on Dezeo for P17, unless if it's Dezeo dropping off a bit. Van der Smissen also makes through the overtake now. Joe Gillette, meanwhile, holding on down through turn 1. It's going to be interesting if he's going to keep on to hold it. He does still hold it through at least, and it's all going to be quite a little bit peaceful from here on out though, Lorenzo, but it's still, anything can happen here.
You say it might be peaceful, but at least through here, sector 2, feel like once we're back on the main straight again, and maybe even someone try to make a move through sector 2, as we see Johannes Lepid thinking about it on Juho Soppanen, and he does try it, and it's a battle between the two Scandinavians, the Finnish driver ahead of the Swedish driver, and another Swedish driver behind Johannes Lepid in Rafael Erhem. He's trying to gain his first points since debuting in Singapore, and he's having to fend off Faiz Yongstra as well, who's looking to gain back what he lost in race 1 and get closer to Tuomal and Nokenhaug, who are having a blast of a race 2, which is detrimental very much so for Yongstra in that fight for P3.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very, very impressive that they're keeping the front today. Alex Dade, meanwhile, is going to try his best to fend off from Auchenhag, though. And Auchenhag almost looked out for the inside turtle, but not to avail. Alex D has got... Actually, he's up into P3. What an impressive race we're seeing from Alex D, actually. The Czech driver that has never actually been in a podium place position before in FS2 is into P3.
Not only that, but he's also set the fastest time of the race so far as he overtook Auchenhag. We saw yellow flags, and we see that is Gillette fighting with Roychav in the back, and Roychav is through on Gillette. We see yellows flashing in sector 3 again. We do not know quite sure. We're not quite sure what's happening. I see Soppanen has been overtaken by Erhem, and Lepid has gone past Soppanen as well. So Soppanen has dropped 2 positions in a span of half a lap at most. So something might have happened to that priority 1 car. As we see Gillette still trying to make something here and try and make a move on Roychav. He thought of it there. Contact, slight contact there. And Gillette goes wide due to it. Sandeep Singh is right there, and he might think of a move into turn 1 here if he manages to get enough slipstream off of Gillette. But Victor Bernard is right behind Sandeep Singh as well, so we could see another 3 wide situation here.
Yeah, from John Saldo, Sandeep has got a very good exit though, applying for the pressure onto Smokey Joe for P8. He's trying to keep his attention up into Kurt Rutschhoff though. That was Chris Pass and Alex Day, meanwhile going side by side down for turn 1. Alex Day made the overtake over for P2, but Sandeep Singh trying to look down for the inside against Joe Gillette. This is going to be very interesting. He's going to do it. No, he can't, but he still manages to pin it on through because Victor Manat had looked down for the inside for turn 2, and Sandeep Singh know this and fended it off. Fantastic what we're witnessing here.
And that's Justin Van der Smith and David Kuhn dropping in the back as well. Something happened there. And Rafael Erhem has lost P15 to Soppanen, and as we see Victor Bernard try and make a move on the outside of Singh, not quite there. And Bernard will have to wait yet another lap to try and make a move on Singh. As we see Gillette is now closer to Roychav than Singh is to Gillette. And Gillette now looks to be looking back as opposed to in front, as Auchenhag now also looks to be looking in front onto Craig Patterson, who's dropped to P3 as Alex Day is having a brilliant race up into P2 and looks to be closing in fairly quickly on Mikhail Tuomala as well.
Yeah, Tuomala it's not looking quite good for Tuomala. At least he's managed to hold on to the lead, which is very good. But Alex Day seems to be a man on fire for the way that he started and how many overtakes he's made. He's overtaken Auchenhag, he's overtaken Craig Patterson, and he might be on a chance for Tuomala now. As we look down from behind Craig Patterson, Auchenhag gonna go side by side, ain't over for turn 1. And watch this, Patterson has to try to defend through the center. No, they both go sideways. Is he going to lose down to P5? We'll have to see. He fends off for Ben Skinner. Ben Skinner tries to go for turn 3, and it's still going to be going side by side here, Lorenzo.
They are, and Skinner might not be quite close enough, but one person who is close enough is Alex Day. The Czech driver goes through.
Doesn't Alex Day gets into the lead? Adrian Canali holds trying to make the overtake onto Ben Skinner from P4, and it's still going to be going up for the second sector here, Lorenzo.
And Kinar looks to be going on the inside of Auchenhag here, who almost lost 2 positions in one section of the track. And I feel like Auchenhag might have potentially felt a bit aggressive that he, at least to my eyes, from the angle we did see, he didn't quite leave a lot of space to Skinner on the outside of turn 2, as Victor Bernard now looks to overtake Roychav for P9, as Singh has gone past Roychav in the meantime. And yet again, the slipstream down the main straight is going to prove crucial here, whether Bernard will be successful or not, Amir.
Look at the gap today. Day is running away from Tuomala. It's 1.2 seconds now. It's still lap 7 out of 18. It could really be his chance for you to lose as Ben Skinner trying to get himself up onto the podium with an overtake on Craig Patterson. Craig Patterson can't really do much to defend for the car from behind. Over down for turn 1. He has to do best to the inside line. They both make a bit of contact. Skinner still prevails through turn 2. Across from Prix. Patterson is hoping to look for the better exit. Can maybe keep applying for the pressure onto Ben Skinner, and he might be able to do so as they both going to go side by side. Approaching down for turn 4. He's going to have his front wheel against his rear wheel, and look at this, still going to be side by side. Not enough for Patterson to do, and in fact, 2 positions maybe, because there goes Oakenhout up for the 4th place here, maybe. And yes, he will do it. He will do it. So Patterson has dropped from 1st all the way down to 5th in lap 8.
But he definitely will look to gain back that position. I think he might just be able to as Oakenhout. I don't think he'll quite catch on Skinner enough to try and threaten him for P3. One driver who might be threatening yet another Hunter Birch. Sandeep Singh is right on the tail of Joe Gillette, who is himself on the tail of Kinaya, and that's a small little train now forming behind Patterson, who, as opposed to what I said earlier on, a couple of turns ago, has dropped massively from Oakenhout, and looks like he'll have to be the one defending now instead of attacking, and another driver again who'll be attacking is Sandeep Singh here.
Absolutely. Sandeep Singh has done very, very good from where exactly he started from, around front position 11. As we touch up ahead, Joe Gillette against Andrea Canalia down for turn 1. He's going to look for the outside line. Canalia still holds on through. Down for turn 1. A bit of contact. Pushes Gillette a bit out from the line. And Sandeep Singh is looking at this and might be licking his lips because he's got about 2 positions to look at for hand. First for Joe, as Joe's trying to use for Canalia's slipstream, but Canalia swings over to the left-hand side to benefit from Sandeep, but Sandeep is going to be backed in. Alexi moves down through. A bit of contact actually between Canalia and Singh, and look at this, Canalia's gone wide. He manages to rejoin, and he will and I think he'll just about hold on through to P6 though. But Sandeep Singh looking around for the outside against Joe Gillette, and he'll maybe hold on through to 7th. He will, and that down from behind is Victor Bernat against Joe Gillette a bit. Oh god, I'm missing a bit of contact between Gillette and Sandeep here. My goodness me, we're through the halfway point here, and it's still absolutely intense here. Christian Glamsenter still for the 2nd sector, try and have a look around for Victor Bernat, but Victor Bernat occupies with the position, unable to do a switchback. Kudryachov looking for this, but he can't hold on through to the top 10 though. He's dropped as well.
He has, but I don't think he'll be dropping down for much longer. He's right on the tail of Glamset, and he'll look to gain that slipstream. All of them will look to gain slipstream off of one another really here, as we see Ben Skinner also gaining slipstream on Mikhail Tuamala, and he might just have enough of it to try and make a move on the outside of the Finnish driver.
Enough.
And he does make the move stick before turn 1 as Oakenhout tries to move himself as well, and he's successful with it, not quite. He doesn't give Tuamala enough space. Tuamala goes to the side of him.
Yes, he does. Tamala hits the contact. Oakenhout down for turn 3, but there's still cars are intact. That was quite dangerous there from Magnus, but still his car is intact and he's got himself up into 3rd. Now the question is defending it from it, and he will be able to do it. Tamala's kind of dropping as well, similar to what we've seen previously with Patterson. He's now gone from 1st to 4th now.
Absolutely, and we've seen the back, there's people dropping. The Zoe, and I think it was Vakuinov, whose race goes from bad to worse. There's yellows in sector 1 still, and there is the Bulgarian driver out of the race. Unfortunately, we do not have the time to check what happened to him, but that is definitely a race to forget for Vakuinov there. As we see Kinaya make a move on the inside of Patterson, and it doesn't quite make a stick, but that was a brave attempt by the Italian.
He's still gonna try it. He's still gonna try it, but it didn't quite work out tonight for Canalia, trying to maybe deviate from off the racing line through the final sector, but Patterson will still hold on through, and that will still hold on through to 6th. In fact, Sandeep Singh down from behind is going to try and take advantage of them. It's get himself up into P6. That Indian driver has done actually phenomenal, must say, Lorenzo, to get himself exactly for where he started, and his quest to make the overtakes doesn't stop there, as Canalia is going to be the next onto his hit list. Later on the breaks down for turn 1, was able to do so. Canalia holds onto the inside line, and maybe it might work for Sandeep once again, as he will do for turn 2, and Sandeep gets himself up into P6.
That's a great overtake by the championship winner. He looked for a second to be blocked in from that overtake by Patterson in front, but in the end he made it stick, and Victor Bernat is also looking at his teammate being attacked by Joe Gillette and looking to capitalize on Joe Gillette's misfortune of not being able to perform that overtake, but not quite close enough to do the overtake himself as well. So he'll have to wait yet again for that chance next lap in Sector 1, unless Gillette makes a mistake somewhere here in Sector 2 or 3. As is Sandeep Singh there, eyeing Craig Patterson, slowly biding his time, although I feel like he doesn't want to wait much longer. Slight contact there between Bernat and Gillette.
Yeah, Bernat went deviate for the other line. Wasn't expecting Smokey to go through. That is Patterson going through. Alex Day has dropped off. He's dropped off. He was in the lead. He's now dropped off to 6.
What happened to Alex Day? We didn't see what happened, but the Czech driver has fallen 5 positions now and is battling for the top 10 now with Kinaya, and that massive train behind him, the 2 Fraccioneras and the Hunter Birch of Joe Gillet, as now the top 3 has opened up yet again. And as Alex Day, 3 wide behind him.
Actually, between Canalia and Day, that is Gillette going off. He'll be able to rejoin, but he'll just lose on a couple of positions. In fact, 4 positions through that process. He's all the way down to 10th. Alex Day is defending through 6th on his life. I think he definitely must have spun Lorenzo because he's really struggling on those tires. Victor de Bernat looking over that for turn 4, but can't really do it. And it's a really unfortunate. The day that looked to be good for Alex has gone to worse here.
And Alex Day, who was hoping to improve his day, has not done so. In fact, he's just worsened it for himself. He's having gone from P1 to P6 now.
Oh, goodness me. That was Bernat going wide, I think, a bit, and Joe Gillette may be able to push him a bit out of the way. What is going on here? I cannot believe what I'm witnessing here, Lorenzo. Gillette still trying to fend off from Victor Bernat, and look at this. Almost looked out for the end of Canalia, but can't able to do so. Bernat still holds on through. A little bit of a push, but Gillette still holds on through to 8th.
And they banged tires. They clipped their tires with each other, which kind of forced Bernat off. I'm sure Gillette didn't mean it, but in the end it unfortunately did happen, and Bernat didn't quite make the move stick because of that. And now Roychow will want to get past Bernat into P9, and he might be able to do so before turn 1, as well as the slipstream he gained on the Spaniard is massive.
Yep, that is going to be important. This is the one with the championship implications. Bernat tries to defend from Christian Clemcenter, but look at this contact. Is benefited, actually not very good for this. He's all the way down to 12, and now Pomerabos maybe he'll get himself up to 12. I cannot, no, he gets himself up to 12. Yes, indeed. But Singh makes the massive overtake onto Tumala. That may well cement Potentia's chance of getting the team standings away from Clap Clay, and that will cement Potentia Grand Prix, in my opinion, as the team's championship here in Formula Sprint 2.
I think that might just well be able to accomplish it, as Scarpelli is down in 19th currently. He is not scoring any points for Potentia, so it's all Singh right now for Potentia up in P3. And I think that might just be enough. Battling to a mile as well is crucial, as that is Cap Clay behind them in the standings. So beating to a mile here is crucial, even if they've already secured it, just to be sure, you know. But still, Kinaya, who we're seeing now, is gaining yet again on Alex Day, who we mentioned earlier in the lead, and has then squandered that lead, struggling with those tires, as you said, Amir. I think he might be struggling hard enough to potentially lose P6 this lap as well.
Yeah, absolutely, but he's still on course to record ST Racing's best ever position since back in Germany in round 1. If he can only just fend off for these drivers behind for just a few more laps, then he will still be very good. Kurt Rochev trying to go through! Contact between himself and Canalia leads that he will drop out of the point scoring position, and that is a bad news there from the Estonian. In fact, he still managed to rejoin just about in the point scoring position, but it is still really bad news there from the Exilian Motorsport driver, from all the way up in the top 10 out to nearly out of the points. Sandeep Singh being well on the pressure against Magnus Okanak. This is going to be for P2, and he's still going to keep on his quest to maybe record 2 race wins. At this rate, he's already done what we thought was almost unlikely in this case, to get 2 races of a podium. The last time we did that was back in Spa-Francorchamps, and now he might be able to get a chance here again, this time in Interlagos, and maybe replicate those same results as well if he makes the overtake against Magnus. Progenitor down for the second here, Lorenzo.
Absolutely, and now you're now gonna enter the third sector here. Sandeep Singh, he'll definitely have that slipstream off of Aukenhaug's car coming down the main straight. My question is, if he gets past Aukenhaug, which seems fairly likely seeing as it's Sandeep Singh we're talking about here, will he have enough time to get up to Ben Skinner? The gap between Skinner and Aukenhaug, P1 and P2 currently, it's 4 seconds, and Sandeep Singh goes through on Aukenhaug fairly easily on the inside, makes the overtake even before reaching the start finish line, and now his aim is on Ben Skinner. I think he might be able. He definitely might have the capacity to clear Aukenhaug. Yeah, I'm sorry, Amir, but the question is, will he be able to catch Ben Skinner for P1?
Yeah, I think Aukenhaug did let Singh through. I think he was maybe trying to look for the slipstream here, as we're seeing on board with Aukenhaug, to maybe keep the fight going on ahead. But Sandeep, I think with just too good of a line through the first 3 quarters, means that Aukenhaug can't do much to fight. But if Singh is going to catch it to Singh, then it's good news for Aukenhaug, because that means he can follow on through, as Alex stayed down from behind, under pressure from Andrea Canalia for P7, but he'll still hold on through for the time being, almost with his tires nearly dead. He's gone for the racing line, and that's a lot for Canalia to benefit from this. Down on through that corner, and he'll still hold on through, but he's going for the inside line. Alex Day's not budging, and they both go sideways, and a bit of contact between the two.
Still more contact.
Yeah, still not back, and he's going to dive bomb him through this corner, and it's absolutely impeccable scenes that we're witnessing here. They were both almost the wheels on the grass here between these two, but XD is still trying his best to not give up P6, but how will his tires be able to fall from this?
Contact.
He makes contact a bit, but he'll still hold on for a 6. In fact, Joe Gillette down behind gets himself up in a 7th, and right now will flip it now. This is becoming a 4-car fight for P6.
It's becoming a 5-car fight as Lepid has joined already, potentially even 6-car fight with Glamset not far behind Lepid as well, as Lepid looks to overtake both Frecheneras in one corner, and he might just be able to do it. Kanaya looks to the one to be pulled out as Alex Day goes off!
He's off, and that's a dangerous place to be on the track. He has to be very careful how he rejoins, and will he rejoin safely? Yes, he will, just about, and will lose. That is Kurt Rochev overtaking, and he's now all the way down to 14th. What is this battle for P7 that we're seeing here? Victor Bernard has to do absolute God's work to defend from Leopard Glab Center, as there's Leopard going wide. Is he going to be able to rejoin back into the top 10? Yes, he will, very comfortably so.
And Jojo has now sped off into P6, having passed Alex Day in rather dubious circumstances, at least it looked like initially. But now he looks somewhat comfortable in that P6 with 2 laps to go. Loses the battle for P7, the one to keep an eye on. Bernard still hasn't quite cleared Glamsetter, who's overtaken both Lepid and Kinalia in all of that madness that we've seen unfold in the first sector there. So Glamsetter the biggest gainer in this lap, in this battle. The question is, will he now be able to overtake Bernard, who's gone wide? Bernard's gone wide there.
And now he's going to be under pressure from Glanceter, and Lepid from behind is going to not be able to reach the top speed as much as he wants. But here we go, and a very easy overtake for Glanceter. Gaps up in the 7th. Bernat has to try and make as much as possible kind of the slipstream. But here comes Jonas Lepid though. And look at this, Bernat's going to try and squeeze him a little bit. But Lepid's going to make a 2-car overtake down for turn 1. It's going to be a miracle if this actually happens. But look at this Glanceter trying to defend. It does work for Lepid. Lepid gets up in the 7th, but back from behind. Glanceter comes off worse from turn 2, and he's going to lose from P8 to Victor Bernard, and maybe even down to P9, as Chiganalia is going to be able to try and look for it.
I don't think Chinalia will be able to make it. Bernard kind of boxed him in there, exiting turn 3, and then swerved to the left to defend from Glamsetter, which cut off the slipstream from Kinaya. So Kinaya currently in P10, a bit cut short there from his own teammate, which will potentially detriment the battle in the constructors, as we see Antonis Paparinopoulos defending P11 from Mark Shilagi, the Greek, versus the Hungarian Shilagi, currently in front pit. A bit of wheel banging there between the two, and Paparinopoulos seems to have it under control for now. He still has his front wing there alongside him, Shilagi more than just the front wing, a bit more banging there on the sides. Paparinopoulos comes out on top for now, but we're now approaching the main straight as we see Kinaya take too much curb and spin off into the grass. And now it's a battle for P10 between the Paparinopoulos and Shilagi. Kinaya rejoins still in the points, and Shilagi looks to have taken a bit of a tighter line, well, a bit closer line to the apex than Paparinopoulos, which allows him to go past the Greek driver fairly comfortably before turn 1. Paparinopoulos is still vaguely there, not anymore. Shilagi up into P10 now.
Yeah, Papadopoulos doing very well to hold on through to his career best finish into almost through the top 10, but has to fend off from Salagi down from behind in 10th. But again, we're approaching through to the final lap though. The gap between Singh and Skinner has gone down to 2 seconds, but it's not enough for Singh to get himself up into a race win, as we see with Ben Skinner by all the means, one in a tense fight for the lead that we've seen, with different leaders left, right, front, center, Patterson, Tamala, Day. But Ben Skinner will be able to go through just about through the final few corners, and we'll have just the final sector left. And the Englishman will surely very, very close, because Sandeep Singh is indeed catching up, but it's not going to be enough. 1.5 seconds through the final series of corners. Ben Skinner's going to go. It's going to be a great race result for Skinner as he gets a race win, not just for himself, but for Orbit Motorsports. Round for the final corner, Ben Skinner goes. What a fantastic Brazilian Grand Prix we see. Through the final corner he goes, and the chicken flag drops for Ben Skinner as he wins. Sandeep Singh will come from behind 1.5 seconds, and Orca now completes through the top 3.
An absolutely stellar drive from the Englishman there in Ben Skinner, his first win since Catalonia race 2. Craig Patterson finishes in P5 there, Joe Gillette in P6. I want to turn our attention yet again to that battle for P7 unless it has finished already. Has Johannes Lepet managed to finish in P7? He has. Bernat in P8 and Glamsetter in 9th. Shilagi beats Paparinopoulos to round out the top 10. Rochial looks to have secured P12 as well. Day in 30th and Kinali in 40th. We did see a battle lower down for potentially P15. We did see Scarpelli, Sopan and Terzoli swap positions quite a bit in that final section, and it seems like it has stayed the way it is shown. Youngshre to round out the points as well, and it looks like everyone has finished the race already. Ooh, as we see drivers a bit less lenient now, seeing as the race has ended, as we see Sandeep Singh meet with Domenico Scarpelli, as we see one of the VMS cars have a celebratory spin, I would assume. Although I'm not quite sure if there's much to celebrate for them, unfortunately. But one team that has a lot to celebrate is Potentia, as we see the two cars have a little parade around the track as we now see the race 2 results.
Well, what can we say? The whole entire thing was it was potential Grand Prix and Sandeep Singh's day if things were to go their way. And ironically, it went their way. Ben Skinner with a fantastic race 2 win, and Sandeep Singh managed to record one of his best weekend results with race 1 and race 2. He equals his best as he did in Spa-Francorchamps for a win in the race 1 and a second place in race 2. That was honestly quite an incredible drive, I must say, from the Indian. Magnus Okana completes for the podium with Hunter Bird Simulation in 3rd, with Mikhail Tumala over in 2nd, drops over through the 4th, despite leading for a portion of the race. Same with Craig Patterson, but he comes off worth down in 5th. Joe Gillette makes it through. Hunter Birch 3rd and 6th with Jonas Lepet. What a hectic race that was for him. He's been off track a couple of times, but he manages to get through up into 7th. Same with Victor Bernat in 8th, with Christian Glamsitter makes it for an Orbit 1-9, and Mark Salagi completes through the top 10 with Team RNG over down in 10th. Outside from the top 10, we go over through to 11th as Paparinopoulos records his best result in Formula Sprint 2. We'll follow through with Kurt Rochov. Despite that excursion out, he'll be still happy with 12th. Alex Day, unfortunately, was not his day, but he'll be very impressed with that as he records probably one of his finest drives in Formula Sprint 2 with a race lead, but the best that he could do is 13th. At least he will record double points for him in his career. With Andrea Canalia comes in off worse in the battle with Glamsiton and his teammate in 14th, with Tice Youngstra finishing off through the point scores in 15th. And outside of that, Domenico Scarpelli, just about from that lap 1 incursion, couldn't do much to try in together to get that last points for Potentia, but he'll still be happy as Potentia Grand Prix are announced as the team's champions for Formula Sprint 2 of 2025. Massive congratulations to Scarpelli and Singh once again. Juho Soppinen through for priority 1 and 17th, with Mauro Tazzoli upon his return couldn't get his points, but he'll still be pretty happy with 18th considering where he started, with Eric Brenner in 19th, this time going across the line with Caroline Hardwick down from behind in 20th. And then outside of that, it's Rafael Arib in 21st from Mates VO, with Yurika Touchville in 22nd. David Yunt couldn't get points similar to what he did in Singapore, but 23rd at least for himself. Leila Petralia in 24th for Venus, with Justin Van Rasmussen in 25th, and a plethora of retirements as we can see right before our very eyes. Remco Dazu, Bobby Vakinov, Alfie Denley, Mihailo Vitsanevich and Philip Sawinski are the retirements for race 2.
Yeah, unfortunately, quite a bit of DNFs there. Chavinsky with a double DNF there as well, actually, unfortunately for him. And I feel like priority 1 from memory were fairly close to potentially overtaking RGS in the standings, although I feel like... Actually, no, apologies, they were fairly close to Orbit Motorsports, but I think with the results they had today, unfortunately, I think that gap has now extended between them. So they will have to put all their effort into Abu Dhabi. And I think there's a couple of teams out there who look to put all into Abu Dhabi as well. I think Team RNG are not quite clear of RGS as yet. Hunter Birch is also quite close to that group. Orbit Motorsports battling with priority 1 for P7. Mapes VO and Hut Performance, I think, are battling each other as well. There's battles all across both championships still, and even though the championships have been won, that doesn't mean there's nothing to fight for still in Abu Dhabi in 2 weeks' time.
Indeed. But first of all, we'll look forward to Interlagos from what we have just seen for a fantastic race. And I think it's natural for the interviews. We'll give our big congratulations over to Sandeep Singh if he's here able to join for the interview room.
Both of the potential drawers are here, so I feel like it's only right that we bring them both in first.
Okay, that's fair enough. Hello?
Oh.
Hello.
Where's the other two?
The other two?
Sorry,
Alex and Toby.
No, we just posted them, sorry.
No,
Okay.
Toby is unfortunately gone to Cardiff, and I think Alex said he was sick. So, yeah, we're the last minute for replacements, though. So, of course, me and Lorenzo were not there for one of your finest moments, but it's a big achievement for yourself, Sandeep, and also for your team as well. Drivers and teams championships, both of you have been confirmed for. So, do tell us how you feel about the fantastic achievement.
Feel alright, yeah.
I'm happy.
Yes, solid job we done this year. Yeah, all season's been pretty consistent. Maybe 1 or 2 hiccups, just because of driver error by me rather than other people. That's about it, really. Yeah. Menno owns me a chicken curry, by the way, for this, so
that's fantastic. Just looking over to you both, Sandeep and Domenico, as well. Going through the qualifying and race 1, we usually see Interlagos is a track that's really hold to stay to that position on where you start, but it was very, very interesting from you, Sandeep. You managed to get to pole position. Of course, you didn't go for another run, so that was about as much as the margin stood. But Domenico Scarpelli, meanwhile, was just out on the verge of the top 5 at that point. So, questions for you both. Looking from the qualifying to the start of race 1, given that usually Interlagos is known for attrition, and often at times it's really hard to keep your qualifying positions to race. Were you at all confident seeing from the qualifying that you do just as well in the race?
I'll let Domi go first.
I go for it. No, I mean, with all of the amount of practice we've done for this race, we came to a lot of conclusion and stuff, considering everything. So pretty much mostly Sandeep made a great setup, really good work on it. We did a lot of race runs as well, and it was...
We didn't.
It paid off.
Not for this race. I did 20 laps.
Yeah, I probably did 15 completed laps, to be fair.
Yeah, I did 20 laps practice. To be honest, I want to thank a couple of guys before we get Dexter for giving me this seat. And then big help this year was Tom Healy for all the setup work he helped me do. He did a majority to it. I just drove, and he told me what to change, what to try, and I was giving him feedback. He was a big part of the reason why we ended up winning this championship this year.
I think there's Joshua Dexter that wants to...
Yeah, I was about to say, I feel like it's only rather bring in the team owner himself, seeing as his drivers are here. Joshua, can you hear us?
He's drinking.
Josh, wake up.
He's drinking. He's absolutely hammered.
He's
Is he?
standing in his barrack in the Royal Air Force. So, no, I don't know.
Can he hear us or can he
Give
not
us a
hear?
second. Let me join on my phone. Joshua Dexter emailed. Oh well, that's not great.
You should play Phasmophobia.
Pick
Give
up
us
the
a
phone.
sign.
Oh, he's gone. All right.
No, wait. He's
Guess we're not hearing from Josh.
Oh well, no. Hello.
Yes, it worked.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. Your drivers, Joshua, both mentioned you credit for their the performance over in Interlagos. I'm not saying. Did you think you contributed? How much did you contribute towards their efforts for today? I think is the better question to ask.
Oh, that's coming out of our paycheck.
Oh.
I'm lying. I haven't been paid.
Oh my God.
Absolutely ridiculous.
This is not my team manager. If you're
Oh,
watching
anyways.
this is not our team manager. This is an imposter. It's,
Where's the real Joshua Dexter?
Yeah, let's bring in Kyle. Let's bring in Kyle McManus. He's the real team owner.
Oh yeah.
No, he's not.
I had the drive-through. No, I got Pimaru. I will not talk about it actually. I want to watch what happened before making comments about it.
The Mourinho gif. If I speak, big trouble.
No. I just want to acknowledge what happened to me because I got punted in turn 8 by somebody. And then I was like alongside with somebody on the left kink before the start-finish line, and I just found myself spun around entering the pit lane. So I want to really know what happened there, you know.
We didn't quite get to watch any replays for either race because there was just so much stuff happening. So I don't think we kind of caught it on stream, but at the same time there was action behind as well. So we didn't quite catch it either.
Race 2 was way more chaotic compared to race 1.
Isn't that just FSC usually though?
Yeah, but even in race 1 we had a lot of moments. Like at some point I've seen Youngstra and Joe Gillette spinning right in front of me, and I let you there.
Yeah, that was caught on stream.
I was really scared. I don't know if you have seen my onboard, but that was scary.
No.
I was inches away from ending my race as well. So yeah, that's it.
Is there anything left to ask?
Yeah, I mean, we went a bit higher on the wings here compared to everyone else, but it seemed to be fine for us pace-wise.
We still went lower than some others.
Nah, some guys were quicker on the straights. I didn't even realize until. Well, you said you were sitting duck for some reason in race 1.
I had no stamp.
I didn't see that.
We gutted though for Philip, but I was sad.
Yeah, double DNF in the end, unfortunately for him.
Yeah, no, that's really incredible. Really sad. It's really sad.
We're not quite sure because we didn't catch it whether his race 2 DNF was a disconnect as well or whether it was something different.
Disconnected from race 2 as well.
Man.
It was really early on, so either a crash immediately off the line or just disconnected.
Is there anything we can ask them still, Amir? Because I do see I do see quite a lot of people asking for interviews on the stream.
You can go for it. You can go, don't worry.
I have 2 questions, if that's okay. I'm not sure if Lorenzo has any questions, but questions all for you both. This has been, of course, a very, very great season for you all for a variety of reasons. Of course, being that it all comes through in fourth as champions, but looking from all 3 of your perspectives, with both for driving and for potential as a whole, what would you say has been your happiest moments throughout the Formula Sprint 2 season? The ones that you look back on with the most pride, I suppose.
I mean, I would.
I would say
definitely go.
Domi race 2 in Australia.
in
I was happy
Australia, that
for him
was-
there.
I would really go for that.
Yeah, I think he was
Me
then.
too. I legit entered the first race of the season saying, yeah, double top 10 finish will do the job. Well, that's. I left from there like third.
He hasn't hit the
championship.
same height since, to be honest.
Yeah, that was the peak. I had the peak at the start, and since that downhill, just like that.
Damn. Absolutely
No,
damn.
To be fair, I'm a bit pissed that I had to miss some races through the season, but still did a good job,
I wasn't the only podium this season. Singapore, you got third.
Yeah, exactly. So we are good. We're good. Definitely good.
And having both of you, all of you now clinched your respective championships now, what's the goal now heading over to Abu Dhabi? Still to try to aim it for a high, or coast and just take it easy?
If I may, if I may
there.
add on to that. Sorry to
Yeah, you go ahead.
I just wanted to add on to Amir's question, not only for Abu Dhabi, but what's the plans for next year as well for all three of you, for potential and individually?
We'll
Abu Dhabi, Abu Dhabi, I'm not there. I have to attend some seminar or something. So I
Oof.
I'm
Joshua,
skipping
you're
up.
getting the car.
This practice for
yeah.
GPV karting.
You can't just
Uh,
drive then.
Well, hopefully we can take a good picture at the GPV day in Liverpool. We no, I do not promote any drinking or stuff like that. That's Joshua Dexter for you people in the YouTube chat. That's not me. Me as Domenico Scarpelli, I firmly step away from Joshua Dexter. I do not agree with him on YouTube. Anyway, I think we can leave room for other people.
Yeah, I feel like we left
think,
a lot of
think we-
people waiting quite a
I
while.
think we ended up doing a podcast, so I apologize for everybody waiting in the interview chat. Really sorry for that.
It's all right. It's all right. Big thank you though, Domenico and Sandy, for taking the time to interview, as well as you two, Joshua. Massive congratulations on your championship, and all the best for you to whatever your goals are heading over to next season. But until then, enjoy the party, and be sure to drink your achievements.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who do you reckon we bring in next?
You pick. My throat is absolutely whatever Joshua Dexter said about Sandy.
Well, I do see that both you, Hosaponen, and Alex, they have requested interviews in the stream. However, at the same time, I do see that Edward Hunter and Magnus Ockenhaug are here. Never mind, Magnus Ockenhaug is now gone. So let's just bring in Edward Hunter then.
Oh,
Well, Edward, can you hear us?
I can hear you fine, Lorenzo. Hello.
All right, welcome aboard then to the interviews. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, there's so many great people that are talking to that you could interview. I mean, not Alex Laho because he wasn't in the race, but still.
We'll bring Alex Hohen. Thank you for reminding me.
No, come on.
Hello, Alex.
Wow, very professional. I thought the standard with Toby and Alex, the standards were supremely high, and it's cool you've kept that tradition going, so I've nothing to worry about. Anyway, do you want to ask me about the race? Or both
Yeah.
races?
We wanted to ask Magnus as well, but then
really?
he disappeared right before we were going to bring you two in.
Edward, congratulations on your podium. How do you feel about it?
It was Magnus's podium.
No,
But yeah, I guess it was a team effort, I guess. Yeah, I think we're quite happy about that. Magnus has really been on fire. If you look at his race twos since Monza, he's won race two in Monza, run race two in Mexico, fourth in Singapore, and then back on the podium here. So He's really been on a bit of a high recently, and it was great watching him fight with Tuamala, beating him in both races. And I think they're both equal on 207 points now. So
They are.
the battle for P3 is very much joined. Hopefully James Knox doesn't come back for Abu Dhabi to just beat both of them easily. But which I don't think he would do necessarily, given how crazy things are.
Yeah, I don't think even if he wanted to, he could. I'm fairly certain he has a primary contract with Fusion now in Super Lights, so he's been ineligible since Singapore onwards.
Thank goodness for Remco and his team. Nonetheless, other good news is we're fourth in the team stable, and I think we're 2 points ahead of Reading Game the way things stand, although part of me, I think Joe was worried about this too, that he might get penalised for the contact with Youngstra in race 1, which, funny story, I've been literally a few days earlier talking to Thais Youngstra about driving for me next season, so I hope that's not going to count against us. But yeah, I think Joe has apologised to Thais, and I was going to do as well after this. But yeah, so I did feel bad about that. But nonetheless, I think Joe had he was really fighting today. Like every time Joe was on screen, he was fighting away like rats in a sack with everybody. And he said, "Oh, I hate having to be in 10-car trains. I'm much prefer when it's just one-on-one." And but sadly, FS2 isn't really like that. It doesn't play to his strengths apparently. So, but yeah, I think considering we were P9 after Hungary, in just 5 or 6 races to get back up to P4, that's an incredible effort. And admittedly, it's helped that Reading Game has kind of had a few issues and not scored since Hungary, I don't think. So that has helped us a little bit. But still, it's taken a lot of effort to turn the season around. And I think Joe and Magnus and everybody else that's filled in and helped out, I think Craig as well, who we were fighting today, funnily enough, in that second race. Took ages for Magnus to get through, but he put in a really strong move. Yeah, I think everybody's really thrown their best foot forward, and there's one more to go, and I think I would be absolutely over the moon with P4, because that's exactly what we aimed for at the start of the season. We didn't think we were going to get it, and now through a bit of grit and determination, we've finally been able to get ourselves in that position. So yeah, I've really enjoyed this season, and yeah, as Magnus has come back, so I think I should shut up and let him
I was about to mention Magnus has rejoined the queue for the interview, so you know what? Well, let's bring in Magnus for the aforementioned interview. Magnus, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can.
Well, welcome aboard to the interview room then. We talked with Edward, now let's hear from yourself. P3 in race 2 and P10 in race 1.
Yes.
So, you know, fairly decent round from yourself, yet again on the podium in race 2. That's your third podium in race 2 across the last 4 rounds, so I'd say from my side you could be pleased, but what would you say though?
I'm pleased, obviously. Like, it's before, like, towards the end of race 1, like, it was looking a bit dark, but then had some luck involved with, I think it was Philip disconnecting. There was another, like, double spin by some cars in turn 4.
Yeah, and Joe was absolutely not involved in any of that.
Yeah, it's like, it's obviously not ideal with me and Christian coming together early on, but as I told him, it's just racing, like it could happen to any one of us, so. And also with me finishing P10 in race 1, that totally overshadows whatever happened beforehand, so. And that ultimately, like, I guess lined up the stars for race 2. Race 2 was quite hectic, I would say, because I knew it was going to be a showdown between me and Tuamala, but also that Craig is not the one who easily gives up, so hopefully we provide some good entertainment for the viewers.
You certainly did. And you did mention that a race 2 you knew was going to be a showdown between yourself and Tuamala, and there was a showdown between you two as well in race 1. And now that everything's finished and settled down, you're both equal on 207 points coming into Abu Dhabi, and Ed mentioned it as well, and he mentioned that Hunter Birch is now just... Actually, no, the standings have been updated with the race results as they are currently, and Hunter Birch is 2 points ahead of RGS,
Yeah.
although Ed did also mention that Joe might not keep the position he had in race 1, so all in all there's still everything to play for both yourself and the team coming into Abu Dhabi. So what can you tell us about Abu Dhabi from your points of views?
I think obviously task 1 is to try and finish ahead of Tuomala, or at least try and outscore him at the end of race 2. And then obviously that will hopefully make Hunter Birch keep the P4 in the championship once the checkered flag comes, like in race 2. And hopefully also that Abu Dhabi will happen without no drama, that me and Mikael can fight just like we did tonight, and none of us be the receiving end of either a spin or a DNF.
And from my side, it is going to be emotional no matter what, because I think is it okay to announce just the bare bones of next season, Magnus?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, that both drivers are leaving at the end of the season, and Magnus will be going to pastures new. So I think that we don't know exactly what's going to happen because there's still contract negotiations happening. So I don't want to speak for Magnus and out of turn here. But yeah, we've really enjoyed having him, and it's been 2 seasons with Joe, who sort of was with us from the very beginning with this team. So yeah, it's going to be sort of the end of an era. And like I said, we're still looking for new drivers. Like I said, hopefully Ty's Youngstra doesn't hold too many grudges over race 1. But yeah, like I said, it's just as well that Joe did apologise. Hopefully that's enough to smooth over troubled waters. But yeah, there's certainly we need another driver as well anyway. So the negotiations continue. But yeah, I think whether we finish P3 or not, it's going to be emotional. And yeah, Magnus has really excelled this season and made me very proud. So and today Interlagos is Magnus's bogey track apparently, from everything that he's telling me. So to get P3 and to go from 16th to 10th in that first race was I think some very, very solid performances. And I think we put the curse to bed. So I'm very happy about that.
As I can also announce that behind the scenes, Ed, is that for Abu Dhabi, Hunter Birch will run a special livery to like a nice send-off for the season. And
will it remain green?
No, it won't.
It will remain Lotus themed.
Yeah, it will be a Lotus team. So all I can say is it's going to be inspired from the gold leaf era, like a red, gold, and white livery.
Ooh, I'm loving that sound.
So hopefully
That's
that's
more how it
nice
looks than how it sounds, but yes.
Hopefully that will be a nice send-off for the season, and hopefully we can end it on a high. And obviously, as Ed said, it will be emotional no matter what, because I wanted the P3 last year, but then Craig got it before me. And hopefully now it's redemption time, and I can. It's my turn to pick up some medals.
Yeah, and Ed, you mentioned that Magnus and Joe will both be leaving next season, and you didn't mention you're still in search of new drivers, one of which is Fabian Youngstra. Can you reveal to us any other drivers that you are looking into, or is that confidential? And
I don't think it's confidential.
No, sorry, Ed. And I wanted to ask Magnus as well. Ed mentioned that you are moving on from the team. Will you be staying in FS2, or will you be looking to move up?
As
Me first or Magnus? Okay, Magnus first.
I was gonna say that I can reveal at least I can gonna stay in FS2 next year, and it's hopefully gonna be a new team entry. So it's not been in GPV yet, but if it gets accepted on the grid next year, then it's gonna be interesting. And if it won't get accepted, I do have a plan B, just in case if plan A fails. So I will be on the FS2 grid next year, no matter what.
Okay, and so will we. I think, unless the FS2 grid's full and we end up being pushed into FS1 or whatever. But I think my preference is probably FS2. In terms of Joe, I can tell you that Joe is thinking of doing something else. Basically, that he's done 2 seasons of FS2, and I think he's sort of implied that he's had his fill a little bit. But yeah, certainly. The way he was driving today, I was surprised that he's thinking of throwing in the towel, because he was absolutely fighting it today. I was so proud of the performance he put in, even with a little bit of contact here and there. I think it was, you sort of give it and take it, don't you, as you go. But in terms of the other drivers I'm in negotiations with, the other one I'm talking to at the moment is Eunice Corrala, who's a podium finisher in FS2, used to drive for P1. We're sort of hoping that Craig will let us have him. But I know Eunice has been sorting out his wheel. He's trying to get a new wheel, essentially, I think, for Black Friday. So, I was heard that Eunice was available, and I'm very excited to try and make something happen with him. But, if both or one or both of these deals don't work out, then yes, I guess we could still be asking around. And there's a lot of good drivers in the sort of Hunter Birch family, so to speak, that we can choose from as well, that are sort of nestled in other teams. So I don't think we're short of options, and I think things will work out for the best. It's just trying to get the best lineup possible and getting the best out of them. So when you're in the Hunter Birch family, you're in for life. So Magnus may be leaving, but we'll still be friends and we'll still stay in touch.
Same with Optiminal. I left Optiminal to join Hunter Birch, and I'm still in that family. So like, once a family, forever a family, I guess.
Very Vin Diesel statement.
Oh, we're going to soppy at the end of the season. Come on, there's still one more to go.
Yeah. Still all to fight for in Abu Dhabi. And one last thing to ask before.
Oh my god, so many questions. Go on.
Just one last, because I am personally curious before we move on to the next batch, which will probably be our last batch. You did mention Joe is looking for something new. Is that outside of GPVWC, or can we expect Joe to stay in the league for next year?
It sounds like it's outside of GPVWC. I could try and convince him to maybe go to Super Lights or Super League, but I think it might be a big. I think he'd be able to handle it, but it's whether that's what he really wants to do. From the sounds of things, it was either Tin Tops or Endurance that he had his eye on, but I think he hasn't quite made up his mind himself, so I don't want to put pressure on him or put words in his mouth. But anyway, like I said, Joe has been there since the very start, and he's had his tough times this season, so to see him start to improve his performances near the end, and I think maybe knowing he's not going to be with the team next, or not driving FS2 next season, helps him, because he's got that certainty in his mind, and I really think that's helped him, and maybe a bit of extra practice as well has also helped. Interlagos has always been a decent track for Joe. It was pretty strong for him last year as well. So, like I said, it's going to be emotional. I think Joe, wherever he is, he's going to excel and he's going to do all right, and he'll always be part of our history and part of our family. I'm hoping to keep him around as a sort of ambassador for the team, but it depends if I can convince him or not. He'll probably ask for a salary soon.
All right then. Well, seeing as Amir's gone to have a drink, and rightly so, he has provided a lot of energy for the stream today.
He has, yeah. Excellent commentary.
Yeah. Well, more so from him than me, but either way.
You do yourself a little credit. You've done these interviews. I do all the interviews, and I don't get any credit for either, so I think you should, Lorenzo, because it's not easy.
It's all right.
Even if they are a little long, and you're asking every question under the sun, but I'm fine to answer them. So it's a terrible combination, because the stream's not going to keep going.
This broadcast would not have been possible without Lorenzo, so big thanks to him as well. He gets all the credit as well, and also as well to Fabian as well for the camera, so big thanks to him as well.
Yeah, we'll keep it short with the next batch, Fabian. I know you want to go to bed.
Well, thanks for having us.
But yeah, thank you for joining us, Ed and Magnus, and yeah, again, all to play for in Abu Dhabi, and after that, well, we can wish both parties the best of luck, as with everything you've mentioned to us and we know. So yeah, we'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, we will.
Alright then. Should we move on to our last batch? Amir? Amir? I do not think he hears me. Okay, well, while we wait for Amir to come back down to earth, let's bring in our last
I need another drink, sorry.
Nah, take your time.
It's my fourth cup of water.
Before it was milk, now it's water.
Well, it's changed. I've literally depleted my milk supply.
That can't be good. Right, either way.
Alright, bring the next one.
Yeah, let's bring in our last group, a little quick group of Eric Brennan and Juho Soppinen. and let's ask them a couple questions. Alright, we have Eric, Brenna, and Juho Soppanen here with us. Can both of you hear us?
Yes,
Yeah.
loud and clear. I nearly swore.
Yeah, we had Joshua Dexter do it earlier. Let's not have two people do it.
Well, I mean, I have
He-
a sensor. I have
he-
a sensor button.
Yeah, no. Listen, Josh's excuse was he was drinking. You weren't because you were driving, so you can't use the bleep. I'm not
All my
letting you.
homies drink and drive.
No, he's a team
what if
owner.
I
He
s-
doesn't drive.
What if I say after the race I had a vodka Red Bull?
Well, that's after the race. That's not during the race. That's important.
Yeah.
Either way, now that you both are here, would you mind talking us through your races a bit?
I'll start. Race 1 was very chaotic, to be fair. There was there's a lot of incidents. Excuse me. There was a lot of incidents happening. I, at some point, had a bit of a contact with Alfie Denley. It was quite dangerous from him, I'll be honest. I mean, I'm not criticizing him, but 3 wide into that one corner is not going to make matters any better. But then, of course, getting points, at least. But I'm not sure if I'm going to be racing next race. I might get a race ban or something due to possibly getting penalties because of those bit of incidents. But yeah, if this is the way I'm going out of GPVWC 2025, then okay. I mean, I would rather just serve the race ban at the start of the next season. Race 2, in the other hand, was really chaotic. I mean, more chaotic than race 1. A lot of crashes. I had to defend most of the time with Johannes Lepid. Very good battle between me and him. But then here comes the part that I regret even racing this race because there was Vakanov making a move that, you know, it was first fine, but then going through the next corner, he was pushing me off the track. We were alongside into the second corner and slam. He closed the door. We were alongside each other. I was alongside by a car and a half. Well, actually half a car length. But then that happened, and then at one point when I was defending Van der Smissen, went for a gap that didn't exist. I might get a penalty from that as well, but if that's the way I'm going out, then okay, then yeah, it will go well. I'm a bit disappointed, a bit angry as well. I don't want to vent all my frustrations, but yeah, race 1, okay, race 2.
Alright, well, I do understand your frustrations, Yuhei, from everything you've told us, but at the end of the day, all you can do is really leave it up to the disciplinary committee and just wait out the verdicts. What about your 2 races, Eric? We haven't heard much from you since you joined us here in the commentary booth.
Sorry. Well, I just really have 2 words for race 1, and that is Venus Motorsports. First, the car right in front of me, Petraglia, I think. I'm not trying to get killed over that mispronunciation, but she stalled her car on the grid right in front of me, so I had to go sideways on the start of race 1 not to hit her. And then on lap 2, it's me, Yiri, and Caroline. And I tried to brake a little bit earlier to get a good entry, because Yiri was on my right side and Caroline was right behind me. And I guess I kind of caught her off guard, which was not my intention, and she drove right into the back of me at such speed that I went straight into Yiri and lost my wheel and engine. So that was basically on lap 2, my race 1 was over. So I just sat there in the RGS garage eating some popcorn, watching the drama unfold on track. And then for race 2, I was on the dead last grid spot. I was on P30, and I was like, this might be my last race in FS2. I'm probably going to race the last race as well, but I don't have a confirmed seat for next year. So I thought, like, you know what, I'm just gonna give it my all. I'm just gonna show everyone that I deserve to be here. So after a bit clumsy start, it was a bad start, I must admit. I just tried to fight my way up, and I got lucky with some other people being unlucky, and after the race I found myself in P19. So that's 11 positions gained. So I'm pretty happy with that, to be honest. It was some bumps here and there. I went off track some places, not like illegal, but just like because I was pushing the car too hard. But overall, if we just forget about round 1 and Venus Motorsports, because I'm not really happy about that right now, I would say that R2 was a success for my end.
Yeah, race 1 certainly, as you said, didn't sound quite good, but I hope the popcorn was consolation. And race 2, not quite points, but still 11 points, 11 positions gained. I'd say that's pretty good and shows that you definitely mean business for next year. As you've said, you don't have a seat. And coming into Abu Dhabi, you said you'll give it your all as well, and you might need to, as RGS are battling for P6, I think it is, in the team standings, battling Hunter Birch and Team RNG, so
Yeah.
every point will count. So
It's a I'm a one-man train for RGS.
yeah, unfortunately at the moment.
So I will
I mean-
give it my all. And guys, to the ones listening, the few of you who are strong enough to be here after all this drama, please hire me for next year.
I mean, I can prove he's a very good driver. I mean, sure, he sometimes like these happen, but he's a very good driver nonetheless. He deserves to be in FS2.
I just have that Leclerc luck.
One last question for you, Ho, before we close off at last. You did say that you might not be doing Abu Dhabi in 2 weeks' time, which would mean this could be your... Oh, as a water bottle.
Okay.
Here's another one.
Anyways, moving on from that, you mentioned this could be the last time we see you on track this season, and Eric said we will be seeing him potentially in Abu Dhabi, and that he's looking for 2026. What about yourself? Do you have anything confirmed for 2026, or are you yourself still looking?
Shh. But all I can say is that c'est la mission. That's all I can say. Hopefully, c'est la
Man.
mission.
Guys,
But
man, he's devious.
I mean, the thing is, I mean, I might race at Abu Dhabi if I don't get a race ban, or I can serve my race ban at the start of the season if there's anything that I'm getting reported from, because I do have like 4 license points remaining, and I personally took a lot of risks that race, I'll be honest, but still, if there's anything, I think next season will be a lot more fun in FS2. Possibly something. Possibly even FS1. Return,
Ooh.
I don't know.
Return
Might
to
be.
FS1?
Or something else. Maybe
Maybe
commentating.
Oh.
Amir, don't say I'm a bad commentator.
Well, we haven't heard you, so we can't say anything.
Amir's face says.
I'm sorry, for those unaware, everyone in this call currently, except myself and Fabian, have got their cameras turned on. I can't... Oh, there you go. Amir looks very disappointed in everything that's going on. So I feel like it's an appropriate time that we close things off. Thank you, Eric, and you, Ho, for joining us here in the commentary booth for the interviews and for joining us on track as well. Hopefully we do see both of you in Abu Dhabi in 2 weeks' time and next year as well. And yeah, thank both of you. Any closing statements from either of you?
No.
Do not let Chopin then.
You have described
Okay, you bye.
Thank you.
No. Let us close off properly, Fabian. It's
No.
like a
All right,
minute
we
and a
will.
half.
I
Oh.
did. I did. I didn't want to hear from them.
That's rude, but makes
I
sense.
think we had way too long for on the commentary. We've been in this stream for about nearly 3 hours. That's nearly FS1 times. That's why I try to get out of FS1 from. But we're having this back up again. But again, it was very good to interview them all. Any closing thoughts, though, Lorenzo, before I close us off?
Closing thoughts. 2 excellent races. Unfortunately, some stupid incidents all around the track. We didn't get a look on all of them. But overall, this was an amazing round. And Interlagos is a great track, so it makes sense. And hopefully we see more of that in Abu Dhabi, where there's still things undecided, even though both championships have been won already.
Absolutely. Again, thank you all very much. See you watching. Toby Davis and Alex Falk are expected to be back in full swing of things as they make their return to the commentary box this time on the 20th of October as we round things off over in Abu Dhabi in the Yas Marina circuit. Still a bit of positions over to be gained and to be lost in the standings, even though both the drivers and the team standings have been clinched. For congratulations both to Sandeep Singh and to Potential Grand Prix for their respective triumphs. We'll continue on forth with more exciting Formula Sprint 2 action that we all know and love. But until then, we're still going to hold on to Interlagos as we continue on forth. The 16th of October is going to host the Formula Sprint 1. The 20th of October is going to host the final Academy round for that series. Then falling over for the 21st for the Super Lights and the 23rd for the Super League. And then once again, it's going to come all down to a grand finale for everyone, including Formula Sprint 2. And that last round is going to take over at the Yas Marina circuit. Thank you very much to Fabian for being here at the broadcasting. You can go to sleep after this in a very short moment. Thank you very much to Lorenzo for his fantastic I was gonna say lifeful commentary and fantastic interview skills when my throat was dying behind the scenes. I've been Amir. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you over in about 2 weeks time here at Formula Sprint 2. But until then, it's goodbye.
Bye-bye.